Hi, everybody. So today there was a release of a motion to transfer Rick from Wabash Prison to a county jail by Rick's two new defense attorneys. So I just decided to do this last minute live chat for people where I'm going to review the motion to transfer. Before I start, as always, just remember this is about Abby and Libby and hopefully getting justice for them. The trial was supposed to start a few days ago, but obviously right now it's scheduled for October 15th of this year. Just a quick chat overview. I have slow mode on for 20 seconds between messages. I have subscribers only to slow down chat and prevent trolls and spam. Apparently last time there were some trolls in the chat. Moderators will ban anybody in the chat who is being rude to anybody. So just be polite to people in your chats or else you're going to get banned by the moderators. Also, for anybody in the chat, if somebody's annoying, I think you can just kind of click next to their name and block their chat, so you can block them yourselves. Don't hate other people who have different theories than you. This is not about us. This is just us speculating until we have the facts, hopefully at some point. But I don't know. It's just weird that people hate other people who have different opinions. If you've ever been to one of my chats, you know that I fall behind, and if I don't highlight your comment, it does not mean that I disagree with you or dislike you. I see less comments than there are. In the top of the chat, it defaults to top chat, but you can change to live chat to see all comments. I try not to curse, but I can't promise anything. So today's agenda, there was a motion to transfer Rick from Wabash Prison to a county jail, which I'm about to read that document in a minute. Also, on Thursday, January 18th, I'm sure all of you know, the Supreme Court is going to have a hearing to see if Gull will stay or go and Baldwin and Rosie will come back. And also the third item is to request a speedy trial in 70 days, which apparently that's not as obviously a big of an issue. So I will say hello real quick. Hello. Happy New Year to everybody. Hi to all these familiar names that I see. So I'm just going to get right into this, you guys. Let me just present this document. It's only 6 pages, so you only have to listen to my voice being boring for hopefully about 10 minutes. Here we go. I will zoom in so you guys can look along. So like I said, in the next like 10 minutes, I'm just going to be reading this to you guys. Let me just figure out the sizing so you guys can see it. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Motion to transfer. So obviously Baldwin and Rosie, I think they tried twice previously. The first time was April 5th, which I was thinking recently, I mean, Baldwin and Rosie were assigned to be Rick's attorneys November 14th, 2022. And it took them 4.5 months to ask for Rick to be transferred out of Westville and saying it was such horrible conditions. So like, why did it take 4.5 months? They previously said, yes, he had some mental issues and physical issues at Westville, but they did not file something until 2 days after Rick made that suspicious phone call on April 3rd. So here we go with his new attorneys making another request. Now comes a defendant by and through his appointed counsel, Robert Scremin and William Labrado, and hereby submits this motion to transfer and state as follows. So argument. Richard Allen is currently being held in pretrial detention at Wabash Valley Correctional Facility, a maximum security state prison. After visiting with Mr. Allen at both Westville and Wabash, I'm just going to shorten those. So you guys know if I say Westville is the prison, Wabash is the prison. It is counsel's belief that 1, Mr. Allen is not being treated similar to other pretrial detainees being held in county jails. And 2, pretrial incarceration at Wabash will seriously, if not fatally, impact counsel's ability to effectively represent Mr. Allen due to the distance of travel and visitation conditions, which they'll detail in a minute. So this is the list of facts. Number 1, on November 3rd, 2022, the state of Indiana filed a motion on behalf of the sheriff of Carroll County asking the court to transfer Richard Allen to the custody of the Department of Corrections, claiming that due to this being a high-profile case, the Carroll County Sheriff could not adequately provide Mr. Allen with necessary security or other needs at the Carroll County Jail. Judge Diener, who was like, peace out, everybody. Anyway, Judge Diener, without holding an evidentiary hearing on the merits, granted the state's motion and approved Richard Allen's transfer to the Department of Corrections and then recused himself from the case that same day. Mr. Allen had no opportunity to object to this transfer, and no one appeared to consider how this might negatively impact Mr. Allen's defense. I agree that I think there should have been a formal hearing at least at some point soon after Baldwin and Rosie were assigned. 2. On April 5th, 2023, which I was just referencing this, Mr. Allen's former counsel filed an emergency motion to modify safekeeping order, essentially a motion to transfer Mr. Allen to a county jail. So the person who signed this is Scremin, who's one of the two new defense attorneys. I, Scremin, have reviewed counsel's motion, and although I lack personal knowledge to vouch for all of the allegations made, as Mr. Allen's present counsel, I believe it to be a meritorious motion. I'm smiling. And based upon 25 years of practicing law, I agree that Mr. Allen is not being treated similar to other pretrial detainees in county jails, and that his pretrial incarceration at a distant state prison severely impacts counsel's ability to effectively communicate with Mr. Allen and effectively represent him. I would incorporate the legal arguments made by prior counsel and add that Mr. Allen's distance from present counsel and the conditions during visitation negatively impact counsel's ability to effectively represent Mr. Allen. Number 3, on April 14th, 2023, this court, aka Judge Gull, denied prior counsel's motion, and Mr. Allen remains in the custody of the Department of Corrections. 4, on April 28th, 2023, this court received a letter written by the inmate Robert Baston at Westville, alleging that Rick was being abused and mistreated. We'll get to this later, maybe. Number 5, on September 18th, 2023, prior counsel filed a motion for a Franks hearing, which they don't know that there's not supposed to be an apostrophe here. Well, I mean, really, I'm surprised that these lawyers, he said he's been a lawyer for 25 years. He doesn't know that Frank's hearing is based on somebody whose last name was Franks, not Frank. Anyway, calm down, Tom. Filed a motion for a Frank's hearing in support of their previously filed motion to suppress. Prior counsel included a 136-page memorandum/manifesto with 126 confidential exhibits. The memorandum and exhibits, among other things, alleged prison guards at Westville were allowed to wear patches on their official uniforms supporting Odinism, and that crime scene photos suggested a potential connection to Odinism, a Nordic religion and/or cult that has been associated both in the prison system and in society in general with white supremacy. After reviewing crime scene photos and visiting Mr. Allen at Westville, present counsel believes these claims have merit and that pretrial incarceration within the state prison system negatively impacts Mr. Allen's rights in addition to counsel's ability to effectively represent him. Number 6, on October 27th of last year, this court appointed attorneys Scremin and Lambrado to represent Rick. Scremin and Lambrado both reside and maintain offices in Fort Wayne, Allen County, Indiana. Number 7, Fort Wayne is approximately 106 miles from Westville and a 2-hour drive. Fort Wayne is approximately 233 miles from Wabash, which is about 3.5-hour drive each way without stops to get Taco Bell. Counsel's most recent visit to Mr. Allen at Wabash was a 10-hour day. I agree that this is way too far for attorneys to have to be going. Number 8, on November 19th, 2023, counsel visited with Rick at Westville. The visit was an arduous process, which included lengthy travel, complicated and protracted prison security procedures, and difficult visitation conditions, which they're going to get to in a minute. Throughout our legal consultation, Rick remained uncomfortably and unnecessarily shackled and chained in a manner resembling Hannibal Lecter. They misspelled Hannibal there. While guard Hannibal Lecter is the character from Silence of the Lambs with Jodie Foster, that movie where he's a prisoner, whatever. While guards watched through glass panels and the door ajar, Mr. Allen clearly appeared intimidated by the guards and was hesitant to speak freely with Scremin and Labrato. So in a minute, we'll get to the affidavit of investigator Mahler or whatever, who I guess is working with Scremin and Labrato. Number 9, although none of the prison guards were wearing patches in support of Odinism, one of the guards did have a symbolic face tattoo of Odin's spear and multiple hand and finger tattoos emblematic of Odinism and or Norse mythology. This same prison guard had a public Facebook account that also displayed the same tattoos in addition to a necklace with Thor's hammer inscribed with the letters BRSRCR, an acronym for Berserker, which is a very specific type of Norse battle axe and the name given to warriors fighting in honor of Odin. Other photos displayed 3 interlocking triangles, another symbol associated with Odinism. 2 more pages after this. Number 10. Mr. Allen stated that Westville guards were intimidating and reluctant to provide him with shower and recreational access because it caused them extra work. And as a result, he often simply remained in his cell and went without recreational time or a shower to keep the peace. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Number 11. On December 22nd, 2023, counsel visited Rick at Wabash, his new place to stay, where Mr. Allen had recently been moved without consulting Scremin and Labrato. The round-trip drive and visit took over 10 hours to complete. Access to the prison once again took nearly 1 hour, and several gates had to be manually cranked open as there was a power outage in a portion of the prison and doors could not be opened. Number 12, prison staff indicated that they did not have any type of visitation rooms for counsel to use because they, quote, were not equipped for such matters, end quote, but had fashioned a visitation room in some sort of prep kitchen within the prison housing unit. Counsel was informed the visitation would be monitored by video camera. I took a drink. Number 13, counsel was taken to Rick, who was locked in a prison cell located within the kitchen. The cell appeared to be designed as a place to feed a prisoner. The cell had a solid iron door with a small hinged iron flap approximately 8 inches high that opened just far enough to slide a food tray through. This iron flap was left opened, and it was this small opening that we were allowed to see Rick and speak with him. A folding table was set up approximately 6 feet from the cell door with 3 chairs on the far side of the table. The lawyers and the investigator were instructed to sit in the chairs and not approach Rick or come within 6 feet of that door. This arrangement made it impossible to show Rick any videos or documents or discuss the case with him without raising our voices and almost shouting. Number 14. In 25 years of practicing law in 5 states, including representing numerous defendants charged with murder, I have never had to conduct an in-custody legal consultation in this fashion. The prison's visitation arrangement created an environment wherein effectively representing Rick was a fiction, which I don't know what he's talking about there, but I mean, I get what he's saying, but I don't know about that wording. Number 15, Mr. Allen stated that in the 2 weeks that he had been at Wabash, he had not received or even been offered any recreational time, and he believed he had taken 1, possibly 2 showers, and he had not been allowed outside in the prison yard, although other inmates enjoyed outdoor recreation in December. Anyway, yes, he deserves those rights. Conclusion, in 25 years of practicing law, I have never had to conduct an in-custody legal visit in the manner I have with Rick. I routinely conduct legal visits within the jails in Allen, Adams, Huntington, Randolph, and Wells counties, including consultations with numerous clients charged with murder. There is never a guard present during the consultation, and there is never audio or video equipment recording the visit. My clients are never shackled, handcuffed, or chained during visits. These are clearly state prison policies, not county jail policies. I am often able to simply sit at a table with my client and have a conversation, but at the very least, I am able to sit directly across from my client and speak through a large plexiglass partition where we can view videos and documents. County jails routinely, dare I say daily, have lawyers visiting pretrial detainees, and as such, county jails have rooms specifically designed for attorney visits. County jails also have a streamlined access protocol for defense attorneys that often takes no more than a minute or two, as opposed to an hour, and laptops, phones, and tablets are routinely allowed during attorney visits with no special requests. County jail visits with clients can even be set up the same day. Clients in county jails are extremely accessible, and multiple visits can be quickly and efficiently made when legal issues arise. All right, this is the end of this one. Based upon counsel's observations and experience, Mr. Allen is not being treated similar to other pretrial detainees being held in county jails. However, even if this court were to find that Rick's pretrial treatment within the state prison system does not in itself justify moving him to a county jail, evidence is absolutely overwhelming that pretrial detainment at Wabash will seriously, if not fatally, impact Scremin and Librato's ability to effectively represent Rick due to the sheer distance of travel and the unworkable visitation conditions. Counsel for Rick respectfully requests that he be transferred to either Allen County Jail, which is where Gull is currently a judge, or the Adams County Jail. I did not look on a map to see where Adams County is, but obviously it's pretty close to where these guys are. So that was that one. And there's another 4-page document. Hello. Anyway, get me off the screen. There's 4-page affidavit, which I'm going to show this in a second. Hold on. Wait. Zoom in. I'll get to your comments in 3 minutes. Let me zoom in on this. So I'm affidavit. That's not right. All right. Anyway, so this is by, I think this is the investigator who went with Scremin and Librato to see Rick at these prisons. Number one, on November 19th, 2023, I accompanied Scremin and Librato to Westville to meet Rick. 2. Oh yeah, last time I said I was going to refer to everybody by their last names, and I'm going to call Rick because when I was calling him Alan, people were like, who the hell is Alan? All right, so number 2. After arrival at Westville, it took approximately an hour to clear security and reach Rick, which included riding in a shuttle van to an interior wing of the prison. Number 3, we met with Rick in a room lined with windows where prison guards could plainly observe the confidential consultation. The door to the room was left ajar and could not be closed, as the door's deadbolt was left protruding from the door, preventing it from closing. Prison guards remained posted just outside the door where they could look through the windows. Mr. Allen appeared apprehensive to speak freely with attorneys Scremin and Librato. Number 4, Rick was brought to the room wearing ankle shackles, handcuffs, and a wide leather belt fitted with metal O-rings. The ankle shackles and handcuffs were both secured to the waist belt by short chains, which restricted Rick's every move and gave him the appearance of Hannibal Lecter. His hands were cuffed together such that, sorry, these are different files, so I have to show one at a time. Yeah, this shackle stuff, I think it's way too excessive, especially like when he's going to these court appearances. He's 5'4". He's not going to really like overpower these guards. The back of his hands were together with one palm facing down and one palm facing up. Rick appeared visibly uncomfortable, with his arms twisted at the elbow such that the backs of his hands could be secured facing each other in the handcuffs. Rick remained shackled and chained in this fashion for the entire visit. Number 5. I blurred this out because I've not seen any evidence that this guard is involved in the murders of Abby and Libby, and I think it's kind of shady of Baldwin and Rosie and the two new guys to be calling this guy out like he's part of some like kind of conspiracy to whatever kill Rick, and was part of a conspiracy to kill Abby and Libby. So I'm just trying to be polite to this guy. Number 5, one of the prison guards who stood outside the door, later identified as Sergeant 1, I'll call him, displayed a face tattoo of Odin's spear under his right eye and numerous tattoos on his arms, hands, and fingers that resembled Nordic and/or Odinist symbols. Number 6, I later located a Facebook profile for Sergeant 1, including a photo of Sergeant 1 with the same face tattoo of Odin's spear and wearing a necklace with a Thor's hammer charm, another symbol associated with Odinism. The hammer necklace worn by Sergeant 1 was inscribed with the letters, whatever, I already referred to this berserker thing. A berserker is a type of Nordic battle axe and a term used to describe warriors fighting for Odin. Other photos displayed 3 interlocking triangles, another symbol associated with Odinism. Yeah, some of these things are a repeat of what I just read in the motion to transfer. Number 7, research has revealed that Odinism has been linked to white supremacy in the prison system. Symbols and rituals associated with Odinism also appear to be present in crime scene photos taken in the present case. Mr. Allen stated that he was once shot with a taser through a closed and locked prison cell door. Apparently, he was keeping his hands outside the door and he wasn't following directions. I don't know. It's totally unclear exactly what happened. I think it was referenced in the Franks memo. Number 9, Mr. Allen stated that when it was time for him to take a shower or have recreation time, the guards would ask him if he wanted a shower or recreation, but they would slowly shake their heads from side to side, indicating that his response should be no, because it was an inconvenience for the guards to assist with these basic amenities. So that stuff is going to be on video. So I'm sure it would show if they were shaking their heads, which I don't think should be acceptable for guards to be doing that to inmates. However, at the same time, screw them. If he wants to take a shower, go outside to say, I want to do that. Who cares what they want? It's their job to follow the instructions. Yeah, I know people are freaking out. Anyway, 2 more pages of this, and then I'll get to your chats. Oh, actually, this is one more. Let's see. What did I miss here? That's page 4. I'm sorry. All right, I'm just going to do this while it's up on the screen. Number 16, Mr. Allen stated that since arriving at Wabash, he had been kept in solitary confinement, had not had any recreational time, and had not been allowed outside, and that he had no window. Although he had been there nearly 2 weeks, he believed he had taken 1, perhaps 2 showers. He appeared disoriented to date or time. Prison officials confirmed that Mr. Allen had not been taken outside for recreational time, claiming it was a safety issue for suicide watch. Mr. Allen expressed concern that he was receiving medications and that he was unsure what he was being given or why, as he had not recently seen a physician. He also stated that whatever medication he receives, he does not always get the same type or number or size or color of pills. I had not read that until I just did it on screen. I never saw that. So there's one more. That was page 4, and I missed page 3. So here we go, page 3. This is the last one. So this is number 10. On December 22nd, 2023, I accompanied Scremin and Librato to Wabash, where Rick had recently been moved. The round trip was 10 hours total. Once at the number 11, once at the facility, it took an hour to see Rick. 12 prison staff indicated they did not have any type of visitation rooms for the attorneys to use because they were not equipped for such matters, which is crazy to me. But had fashioned a visitation room in some sort of prep kitchen within the prison housing unit. Number 13, we were informed by prison staff that there were video cameras recording the visit. 14, We were taken to Rick, who was secured in a prison cell located within this kitchen area. The cell appeared to be designed as a place to feed a prisoner. The cell, I already went through this. Yeah, I already reviewed this. This last one is the last new piece of information. Number 15, Rick confirmed he had recently spoken with attorney Kara Weinecke, or Winicky, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, by telephone concerning the upcoming Supreme Court hearing, which we all know is on January 18th. Rick appeared confused about his legal representation and was hesitant to share information about his case with Scremin and Librato, suggesting that he was waiting for the result of the January 18th, 2024 oral argument. I have also recently spoken with Mr. Allen's wife, who similarly was hesitant to provide any information until after the hearing. Okay. So I'll get to this. Hi, Deb. Happy 2024. Thank you so much for your generosity. Hope you're doing well. So let me see all the comments that I missed. Yeah, so my overall impressions is, what are my overall impressions? I mean, I don't think it's fair for the attorneys to have to go 3.5 hours each way and to be talking to Rick through like a hole in a door from at least 6 feet away. That's not cool. Yeah, I'll see what you guys are talking about. Hi, Caricature Contest. Nice to see you. Hi, DNA King. Nice to see you. Happy New Year. Yeah, if anybody's rude, thank you to all my moderators, in case anybody is actually a moderator who's here. If anybody says anything rude, just delete them. All right, I'm still in the section where people are saying hi to me. Hi to everybody. Let's see. Yeah, I'm kind of high, and I just love how Tom bitches at lawyers for typos and bad punctuation. Yeah, I'm a little bit extra. Anyway. Hi, 804 Marty. Is it just me, or do the filings in this case all seem to be written for the inevitable appeal if there's a guilty verdict? I don't know about that. I don't know how to answer that, so I'll move on. Hi, Billy. Nice to see you. And they didn't have a chair small enough for little Ricky. Oh my gosh. Anyway. Billy, I haven't seen you in a while. True Psych Ward. Hello. Oh my gosh. All right, let's get to the topic. Hi, Matt. Why were Kegan Kline and James Bryan Chadwell treated better than Rick? I don't know that there's a perfect answer as to where to keep Rick before the trial. I think the circumstances are such that, I mean, I was saying I don't think he can be in county jail because, and in the general population, because what if he gets killed, or he's 5'4", and we don't know that there's like crazy ass people in prison and jail. Somebody made a good point saying that, well, if somebody's in county jail for a drunk driving offense, are they really going to kill Rick and add a murder charge? And that was a good point. But I mean, do you think it should be risked that Rick is allowed in general population where there are other people? So even if he's in a county jail, he's still going to have to maybe be in a cell for most of the day, if not all of the day. And especially if he's saying that he's suicidal. I don't know. They have these different rules. If you're suicidal, you don't get, I don't want to say these amenities, but certain, maybe I should say basic human rights. If you're on suicide watch, you don't get like recreation time. I do think it's ridiculous that they're saying that just because Rick is in segregation in these prisons, that, I mean, he's not getting these like face-to-face visits with his attorneys or his family. I just don't think that's right to not give him those basic rights and opportunities. Sorry, I'm just looking for comments. Hi, Kennedy. It's interesting that the new defense sees the relevance of mentioning the Norse connection. This is unacceptable, again, with the recording. Yeah, I mean, just saying that they can't close a door. And I just don't understand how these prisons don't have a location for attorneys to meet with the inmates, even if they've already been convicted. I'm sure some of them are going through appeals. I know that Westville was previously, it was made as, I don't know if it was a mental health facility. So I understand that it wasn't like built to be a prison, but I mean, make some accommodations, people. Anyway, they are spending $1.2 billion on a new Westville prison that should be ready, I think, in 2027. Hi, Wam. Hi, Diana. Nice to see you. I'm glad you can chat again. I don't know what the issue was previously. Yeah, so high necessary evil. Hopefully the judge will fix it once she knows. Well, I mean, I don't know. First of all, Gull is waiting to see if she's going to be still the judge of the case. So is she going to decide on this before next Thursday, which is January 18th, the Supreme Court hearing or whatever the arguments? I don't know. We'll see. I say, I mean, move him to a county jail and let's see what happens. Oh my gosh. Hi, Priestley. Hi, Jeff. Why didn't the cops record their interview with Alan so they could lie about what he said? Well, you're talking about the conservation officer's first interview that from 2017 that got lost. Oh my God, what the hell? I mean, I don't know if that interview with the conservation officer was on a tape recorder or a cell phone, but if it's on a cell phone, why can't they use that Celebrate as like this fairly powerful cell phone data retrieval? So if that conservation officer still has that phone, like why can't they search? I don't know if a voice recording would show up in the Celebrate. I don't know. Does he have other stuff on his phone he doesn't want people to see? I don't know. But I agree with you. Well, at least I'm part of it. I don't know. Are you talking? I don't know if you're talking about his 2017 interview. Like, I don't think they were planning to frame Rick that early on. But I agree. Like, with the video camera stuff, I don't know exactly what the process is for prisons. Obviously, they have to make sure that if a prisoner attacks their attorneys, they need to have it on video. But they should not be like video and audio recording these confidential meetings between an attorney and his client. Jeff says, check the cops' depositions. They have no evidence against him, which I wanted to bring up a certain point about this. So I've shown this in previous live chats. In the Frank's memo, the defense said that Liggett and Holman were deposed. So they were interviewed this past August and Lesenby in September. So in the Frank's manifesto, the defense listed, I think maybe like 7 or 8 items. Let me look real quick on my PowerPoint. I might want to put this on the screen. Please stand by. I always forget which word to search. I have like hundreds of slides. This isn't working out well. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So I'm sure most of you have seen this list anyway. So the defense said that during these depositions, Liggett and Holman agreed to like this list of like 6 to 8 things, like Rick's DNA was not found at the crime scene. Something about his social media showed no connection to the crimes. There was no connection on his phone between Abby and Libby. However, which I only use the word however when I'm talking about Delphi. Despite that very convincing list, which shows like Rick might be innocent, during that same deposition, Holman said something to the defense along the lines of, well, why don't you ask your client, Richard Allen? He's the one who killed Abby and Libby. So despite all that good supposed evidence for Rick, it seemed, at least as of last August, Holman still believed that Rick was not only involved in the murders, but that he killed Abby and Libby. Which apparently, I mean, in that April 3rd phone call to his wife, which everybody gets triggered by when everybody says it's a confession. I mean, the defense had that in the Frank's memo. They said that fake quote, like the guards, Rick was scared that the guards were going to kill his wife unless Rick called his wife and confessed, like eye roll. Anyway, but at the end of that fake quote, it said, I killed those girls. So in these phone calls to Rick's wife, did he say that quote, I killed those girls? Which that was just something that stood out to me. And we're gonna have to wait till the trial to see what he said. Hi, Jamie. Peace and love, y'all. Jeff says, why are you being polite to neo-Nazis? I don't know. I mean, the defense is like trying to make it look like he's part of this big conspiracy to kill Abby and Libby and like punish Rick for it, which I have not seen. So, I mean, you can see his information in the affidavit. Jeff says, Robert Ives said, quote, non-secular religious symbolism was found at the crime scene, but not what you would think. He was saying Odinism without saying it. Yeah, so let's talk about this. So the Purdue professor, my issue with what he said, so yeah, there's this issue with like finding him, and we won't talk about that, but Holman interviewed the Purdue professor September 19th, the day after the Frank's motion came out, or memo. What I found interesting was the Purdue professor said, hopefully I'll get these quotes right. It was a given that whoever committed this murders and put the branches on Abby and Libby was trying to replicate a Nordic runic script, which is like symbols and letters from this Odinism or whatever runic Germanic language. However, he said he could not interpret them. So, I mean, as a potential jury member, that is suspicious to me that we're supposed to believe that it was Odinism, yet this Purdue professor cannot say, well, on Abby, it was this letter or rune, which means whatever. On Libby, the position of the branches was this rune, and on the tree, it's an F, which, I mean, if I'm sure most of you have seen, like in this Germanic script or whatever, there's not like with the F, which usually goes like horizontal lines in English language. For the runic script, it either goes up, they both go up, or they both go down, which if you've seen the F tree, I don't see those like horizontal lines going up or down. So why can't the Purdue professor say the tree is an F for this symbol? And when you take all three symbols, it means this. He said he could not interpret it. So as a jury member, how are we supposed to believe it's Odinism if he can't say what the symbols are and the message? Hi, Angel Ray. I am relieved that Labrado and Scremin seem to be actually defending him, guilty or not. A violation of human rights is not a good look. The state should be above the violence of criminals. I agree. I mean, I just don't know what the exact perfect solution is to where Rick should be housed or whatever. Hi, Charmaine. Nice to see you. And thank you, Charmaine, for gifting 10 memberships to people. Actually, let me do this. I said that I can gift memberships, but last time it didn't work. Yeah, it's not working. Sorry. I'm supposed to be able to give 5 memberships per month, and it doesn't work. You're not missing anything. All right, next. Billy, I can't with some of your jokes. Hi, Xtina. Is Rick not talking to the new lawyers because he's scared of the guards, Or is he not talking to them because he's waiting for the results of the January 18th trial? Which one is it? I mean, I could see how he's waiting to hear if Baldwin and Rosie are going to come back before he starts saying things, because maybe he's afraid if he starts saying things to Labrato and Scremin, that what happens if they're taken off the case and they go talking to whoever? I don't know. Tina made a very good point in my previous member live chat about a totally different issue, which I'll sidetrack for a minute. I don't know what you guys are most I don't want to say looking forward to, but what evidence or witness are you most interested in hearing at the actual trial, not January 18th? For me, I still have not decided whether I think Rick is innocent or guilty. There's so many questions which I would like to see answered before I make a final decision. But overall, I'd say I'm leaning more towards some kind of connection to him being at least bridge guy, because there's just too many things that add up where, I don't know, I'm just concerned. So Tina, I was gonna say Christina. Tina made a good point. I'm most interested in seeing this 127 Hoosier Harbor Store camera where in the PCA it says a car resembling Rick's, and then there's another like updated PCA where it said it matched Rick's car, is seen headed towards CPS at 127. We know that in October 2022, Rick said, oh no, I was there noon to 1:30. So he said he left at 1:30, but the police are saying they see his car headed towards CPS at 127. So I think that's going to hopefully be clear enough to prove if Rick is possibly telling the truth or not. And Tina made a very good point. We obviously saw that Rick's 2016 black Ford Focus was on like a tow truck when his nosy neighbors took pictures on October 13th. So Tina said, well, if police have Rick's car still, or maybe they did this previously, did they drive his car past Hoosier Harbor Store camera in October 2022 or since? And so at the trial, they're going to show the February 13th footage from 2017. And then they're going to show Rick's actual car doing the same direction, hopefully like in the afternoon they did it. So it's like somewhat similar videos. And if there's no distinguishable difference between those two cars, then Rick's in trouble, because his car is pretty distinctive to me with like totally black wheels. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But that's one of the things that I'm most interested to see, to decide if Rick truly is telling the truth, that he was only there from noon to 1:30. Hi, Strictly Chaos. Regardless of guilt or innocence, he deserves a fair trial. I totally agree. The guards are not held to attorney-client confidentiality. No wonder this continues to be a circus sideshow. Yeah, I mean, I don't want Rick to be falsely convicted because that solves absolutely nothing. Hi, Dave. Nice to see you. Diana says, if Rick and his wife are confused about representation, is Rosie, and I guess Baldwin, telling him not to talk to his new counsel? Yeah, I'm curious to know, is Rick still talking to Baldwin and Rosie? I don't know. He's talking to his wife on the phone, at least. And by he, I mean, I've heard that Rick Allen is talking to his wife on the phone. So it seems like she, despite Rick's supposed confession to her in April of last year, she's still talking to him. I mean, I don't blame her for wanting to wait to see all the evidence at the trial. Anyway, let me see. Hi, Nedra. Nedra says Rick cannot stay in jail. It's a liability. Yeah, I mean, the state does have an obligation to keep Rick safe from these other inmates in either jail or prison. So, I mean, you can say that they're trying to torture him, but also they have this responsibility. So, what if somebody kills or beats up Rick? What are you going to think if you want him to be in a county jail in general population with other prisoners? Like, and he gets beat up, are you going to say, well, they should have hired more guards to babysit Rick and the other crazy inmates so they don't hurt him? I don't know. Charmaine says, are we shocked that we finally heard from the new defense team and they seem to be hopping on the ex-defense's theory? I mean, what planet is this? And also, doesn't this kind of bolster some of the ex-defense team's theory? Probably asked and answered, but as usual, I'm late. Anyway, um, I was kind of surprised to see that in this motion to transfer that the new defense team did reference the Odinist theory. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what else the defense has to try and take attention away from Rick saying to his wife that he killed Abby and Libby, if that is truly what he said. Hi, Adam. Adam says in 2017, police body cameras were not a requirement. Or so you're talking about when the conservation officer talked to Rick. Yeah, I don't know what the update is on finding that 2017 interview, but it's crazy that it's supposedly lost. So like, why wasn't the conservation officer handing over or emailing or whatever every interview that he made so that they had all these interviews in a server? One of the biggest things that I don't know, confused about is the lack of organization that police have shown in this case. I totally understand that. I have no clue how these are supposed to be investigated and what their processes are. And that was like an immense amount, like not immense, like an insane amount of like paperwork, audio files, video files. I totally get that, but still, my issue is like, what happens when they're investigating over 5.5 years and they need to find a piece of information? If all this stuff is not in one server for the unified command, which is like the top 6 investigators, like how are they finding this information? It's like, seems so discombobulated, like me during a live chat. Anyway. Anyway. Necessary Evil, Rick had an interview on October 13th, 2022 as well. That definitely was videotaped, and hopefully they've turned the microphone on, because that's going to be interesting to hear and read. Actually, hopefully we can get to see and hear Rick's 2022 interview, especially if they're going to try and say, okay, this is the voice of Rick in October 2022 compared to Bridge Guy, if his voice does sound similar. Susan, Rick's current attorneys are Scremin and Librado are their last names. This next Thursday, January 18th, the Supreme Court of Indiana is having a hearing to listen to some arguments about whether Judge Gull should be replaced and if Baldwin and Rosie get to come back. And then Librado and Scremin go bye-bye. $804 Marty, moving Rick hundreds of miles. Oh, yeah, it was 200, I guess. Oh, you're right. Maybe that is pretty bad. That I was like hundreds of miles. Oh yeah, that is hundreds of miles. That's a good point, Rick or Marty. Sorry. Starting again, moving Rick hundreds of miles from his attorneys was a boneheaded move by the judge, which I don't think was the judge. She didn't do that. She had to know that would come back on her in some way. At one point, she said that it was up to the Indiana Department of Corrections. So she left it in their control instead of her, I guess, saying Rick should be moved from Westville. And now, as you said, it's like even further. So I do think Rick should be closer to whoever his attorneys are once the Supreme Court makes the decision. which, just a reminder, it's not going to be decided on next Thursday. It'll be a written, whatever, I don't want to say report, but a written decision, which might take weeks or months. I don't know. Hopefully they'll do something fairly quick since it's obviously a big issue. Necessary evil, in my opinion, the prosecution has a lot more evidence than we know of. I don't know. I mean, when the defense submitted that September 18th manifesto, they had not gotten all of the discovery yet. So I don't know. I don't know. As I said, I want to see the 1:27 p.m. video. I want to see, was there any other video in town of Rick leaving at 1:30 or soon after 4 o'clock? I would think that the prosecution would have included that in the PCA, and they did not. However, I would think that the defense would have also included some kind of evidence showing that Rick was home by 1:35 or 1:40, which they did not. So I want to see if they do have Rick's car data, which, if you saw my evidence against Richard Allen video, I did a lot of research on car computers, and they have like a lot of information. The problem is it was 5.5 years later. So I don't know if that information got overwritten. So is that car data going to show Rick was at CPS from 1:28 to 4:04? I mean, as a jury member, if he said I was there at 12 to 1:30, but the prosecution says here's Rick's Ford Focus car data, he parked at CPS at 1:28 and he left at 4:04. I mean, that alone, I might vote him guilty. Anyway. Hi, Sick Nisco. Happy New Year to you. Sorry, I'm just looking for some comments. Hi, Illegally Blonde. Nice to see you. This defense reminds me of how Scott Peterson, blaming devil worshippers for his wife Lacey and son's murder. Yeah, I don't follow a lot of these cases, but I know somebody said, what's her name? Lori Daybell Vallow or something like that. She killed her 2 kids. And I've just seen people saying, oh, well, she blamed the devil or something, zombies or something. I don't know. And people were like, the jury found her guilty. And afterwards they gave interviews and they're like, yeah, we were not believing that theory. So are some of these jury members in Rick's trial going to believe this Odinist theory, which I agree that there were definitely some things about these Odinist guys that were mentioned in the manifesto, or the Frank's memo, sorry, that definitely seems suspicious. But I mean, they were never charged with anything. So the defense made it seem like they were not looked into properly. But I understand that most of that stuff in the Frank's manifesto was from law enforcement officers who were on the FBI, whatever, task force for anti-terrorism. So Click, Murphy, and Ferenczi were those 3 guys who looked into the Odinists, and they submitted these reports. And I'm just curious to know if those 3 guys did not have access to all of the information that the 6 guys or whatever on the unified command had access to. So despite it looking like some of these guys could be guilty, and did law enforcement prove where they were on February 13th? I'm still concerned about that one EF guy. Those are his initials, who said to his 2 sisters that he was at the crime scene. So I don't know. Why is he confessing? So that's something I want to see clarified at the trial. But even if the defense says, oh, Odinist did it, as a jury member, if then the prosecution gets up and says, yeah, well, here's how we cleared 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, and as a jury member, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not really believing that those 5 guys referenced in the Frank's memo were responsible and Rick is totally innocent. And if so, like, why is Rick calling his wife on April 3rd saying he's bridge guy, or he killed Abby and Libby? Hi, Alec. Nice to see you. Jeff doesn't like me. I don't know why he's here. But I'm totally open to other opinions. But Jeff says, why are you trying to deny the professor's opinion? There is more than the F. Well, he said, the professor said he could not interpret what the branches meant. So as a jury member, I'm saying, like, if you're going to be on the stand saying it's Germanic, runic, Odinist crap, tell me on Abby, this is the symbol and this is what it meant. On Libby, these branches were put in these, like on Abby, there was 3 branches, I think, and on Libby, there was 4. There's this debate about, was it an Odinist symbol? So if you can't tell me what those symbols meant, why am I supposed to believe that it was an Odinist symbol and that Odinist killed 2 white girls as in a ritual? It doesn't make sense to me as a potential juror. Sorry. Aspen Connor. Yeah, I messed up before. Celebrity couple name Lemon is short for Scremin and Librato. Hi, Diane. Hopefully it's not too cold. This is Diane's backyard here. Diane, look outside. I'm on your back porch. Hi, Matt. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And anybody else who donated, I truly appreciate it. Thank you. Angel Ray, so the former prosecutor is Rob Ives, said they have DNA. I want to know who it belongs to. Is it Rick? Well, no, it's not Rick. And as I said before, Holman and Liggett agreed to that in their August 2023 depositions. So I don't know what type of DNA they have at the crime scene. Obviously, they have not been able to attach it to anybody. One possible scenario, which is probably wrong, like most of my speculation, we know that Libby was wearing, well, at least at first, she was wearing a black and gold Delphi swimming sweatshirt. And I'm almost certain that Kelsey, her sister, who drove them that day, at some point she said that Kelsey would leave like jackets and sweatshirts in the back of her car for like random moments or whatever. So one thing that I thought was like maybe why they cannot find who this DNA belongs to. Excuse me. Did Libby maybe wear that sweatshirt to a sleepover or some kind of athletic event or somewhere? And then it was like sitting on a chair. And as she was leaving, she said to her friend, "Oh, can you hand me my sweatshirt?" So another girl like picks it up and just like gives it to Libby. Did that transfer some kind of DNA of that 8th grade girl who's her friend? I don't know. I mean, could it be as simple as that? I don't know. Obviously, it's good for Rick that there is no DNA of his apparently on Abby and Libby or at the crime scene, which you would think like, how did somebody do this to these 2 girls and their DNA did not leave a good enough sample? We still do not know if Abby and Libby's DNA was found in Rick's car or at his house. Because I don't think in that list by the defense team in the Frank's memo, they did not say no DNA from Abby and Libby was found in Rick's house or his car. And one other thing I wanted to say about that list by the defense of like the 6 to 8 items that are good for Rick, what did they leave out that was bad for Rick? Because in the Frank's memo, as I was reading every letter of it, in case you didn't see my 7-hour and 5-minute video on it, the defense left out some pretty important facts in this case. In that 136-page memo, not once did they reference the 127 car, which is supposedly Rick's headed towards CPS. Not once did they reference the 2:10 p.m. driver who said he saw a purple PT Cruiser or a small SUV. They did not mention the 2:28 witness of the car at CPS. So they just kept talking about the old 1960 car at 2:15 described by witness 4, but they left out the other 2 witnesses before and after that because it didn't really add up to being good for Rick. And finally, they never once mentioned the juveniles who passed within a few feet of Bridge Guy, supposedly. I mean, I think we can at least agree that whoever passed those girls around 1:30 near bench 1, that probably was Bridge Guy. Not once did the defense bring up those girls' descriptions as that guy as being in his 40s to 50s with gray hair, which would match Rick. So what did they leave out in the Frank's memo that was bad for Rick? I mean, I understand that that's their job to not really say, oh, well, they found this, which is showing that Rick is guilty. But I think it's important to remember that the defense is not going to show stuff that's bad for Rick. Grandma Shelley, hopefully I did that right. This is my first time seeing your screen name. Hi, welcome. She's probably gone. How far behind am I? Only 20 minutes. All right. If Rick was there, how could he see the other girls and not Abby and Libby? So there's this whole like debate. Rick is saying he was there noon to 1:30 and he saw 3 girls near the start of the trail. Exactly 90 minutes later, these 4 juvenile girls took a picture at 1:26 on bench 1. It's these 2 sisters sitting on bench 1. They get up and they start to leave and they pass this guy who essentially is Bridge Guy coming from Freedom Bridge. So there's this debate about, did Rick see 3 other girls at noon? There's kind of a rumor, not a rumor, it's a fact actually. There's some girls who went to this place called City Park, which has a basketball court. From what I've seen in a screenshot, one of those girls said they never went to the trails. But some people say, oh, those girls who were at City Park were also on the Freedom Bridge and Monon High Trail, which from what I've seen, one of those girls said they only went to City Park. So who are these 3 girls who Rick is saying he saw at noon when he arrived? We're going to have to wait till the trial to see the full list of people who were on those trails and what they say and whether or not they saw Rick, because those 4 girls from like whatever who passed Bridge Guy around 1:30, they also took a photo of Monon High Bridge at 12:43. So is Rick in that photo? And if not, where was Rick between noon and 1:30? And is anybody who walked the trails going to say, oh yeah, I saw him on a bench? I don't know. It just seems really suspicious to me that in 2022, Rick said, oh, I did go on the bridge on platform 1. And I mean, if I was Tony Liggett and I had already interviewed witness 4, and she said she saw Bridge Guy on platform 1, she was shown Libby's picture and said, even though she said he was like 20 to early 30s, she said, yes, that was the guy I saw. The guy on platform 1 matched the Bridge Guy video. What was I talking about? So Liggett knew that Bridge Guy was on platform 1. Finally, he interviews Rick in 2022, and Rick says, oh, I was on platform 1, and he admitted wearing essentially similar clothes to Bridge Guy. I don't know. Seems suspicious to me. Let's see. Jamie, shout out for nosy neighbors. I'm a nosy neighbor. Anyway. Hi, Malibu. I am most interested in seeing the entirety of the video that Libby took on her phone. I don't know. I assume they'd finally reveal this at the trial. My assumption, like I said, it's usually wrong. I don't know at what point they saw Bridge Guy. I'm pretty sure they had to have seen him at some point before this 213 video. So what caused Libby to get concerned and kind of like put up her phone real quick to capture him? And then I think they started walking towards the end of the bridge. He comes up to them and interrupts them and says, guys, go down the hill. So I don't know what she did with her phone when she like put it down. Did she point it in the direction of the end of the bridge? Because some people are saying, oh, well, maybe there was some other guy. So is that video going to show her pointing her phone like maybe down by her waist or whatever at some point, and it shows that there is not anybody else at the other end of the bridge. I don't know if maybe Abby is like blocking the view or whatever. Hi, KT. Nice to see you. Rick does deserve private meetings with his counsel. It's seriously disturbing. I agree that they should be private. Sorry, I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at this. Thank you, Lisbeth. Necessary evil. Probably have to follow what Alan wants and are preparing to possibly be replaced as well. So you're saying that Lemon has to follow what Rick wants? I thought you were saying like the court has to say, well, if Rick wants to go to county jail, we have to put him there, which I don't think that should be allowed. Precy is into a lot of these different cases. Daybell breaking news. John Pryor files to withdraw from counsel. I have no idea what that means, but thank you for sharing. High caricature contest. The exciting thing to me is the defense played their whole hand. The prosecution has kept quiet, and I can't wait to see what they have. Must be enough to think they'll get a conviction. As I said before, Holman seems to think that Rick is the killer. So what does he know that has not been revealed yet? Or is he just going based on Rick's confession and whatever evidence was in the PCA? But yeah, I think I agree. I don't think anybody should be saying, I 100% know Rick is innocent, or I 100% know Rick is guilty, unless you have seen all the evidence. So I think we have to wait until the trial, whenever that is. KT says, I'm guessing all they have is circumstantial and won't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Rick was bridge guy. I don't know. I mean, from what I've seen, I'm pretty concerned that his stuff does not add up, but I need to hear some answers from him, or at least his defense, about some of these issues that are pointing to him not being truthful. Hi, CC. Thank you. Let's see. Angel Ray, if they have enough evidence to charge with first-degree murder or the Indiana equivalent, surely they would have charged him with it. So it's important to remember the prosecution only has to prove that Rick was bridge guy. That's what he's charged with, essentially with kidnapping Abby and Libby, which ended up with them being murdered. So really anything proving that Rick was on the north side of the creek, the prosecution does not have to do. So what are they going to do to show the jury that Rick was at least bridge guy? So that's going to be interesting to see what they have. Julian, everybody's friend, said, I think they will absolutely prove that Rick is bridge guy. That's all they need to do. Hi, Kevin. Nice to see you. Aloha. Food for thought. Rick would have to show up at the trial. Oh, sorry, trail. I thought you misspelled. Rick would have to show up at the trail fully prepared for the crime, physically and emotionally, but he needs pure luck to encounter the girls. Odd. Well, he had lived there for 11 years, and Baldwin and Rosie, in their first press release, said that he often went to the trails. So as I've speculated before, was this some kind of fantasy to see two teenage girls like essentially disrobe and do stuff to each other so his DNA did not transfer to them? And finally, he felt like Abby and Libby at the end of the bridge presented this opportunity. I don't know. Even if it turns out that Rick is bridge guy and the killer, I mean, I'm just going to be shocked that this 44-year-old guy who was married and lived in this small town and worked at a fairly customer-facing job, that he thought that this was something that was he's going to get away with. I don't know. It's crazy to me. Hi, Miranda. Nice to see you. Yeah, a lot of people are talking, not a lot, some people, I don't know what this whole motorcycle thing is, so I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, I don't know the full facts, so I'm not going to get into it. Yeah, I'm not getting into that comment either. General White Honky. What about phone data? Well, in the Franks memo, they seem to indicate that nothing really showed that Rick was connected to the crime based on his phone data. But I want to see the data. We know that Rick supposedly said he was checking a stock ticker, which somebody on Reddit said maybe that's not about like financial, like the stock market. Rick said he went to look at fish, um, which I'm not denying that that's possible or a reason to go to the trails and the bridge. But somebody said maybe like fish get stocked into like creeks and stuff or ponds or whatever. So that maybe Rick was checking a website to see if Deer Creek had been stocked with fish. I don't know. Necessary Evil says Rick used a burner and left his at home. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. They took, I think, 16 phones from Rick's house in October 2022. So what did they find? And is it going to confirm Rick's alibi that he was only there 12 to 1:30? DNA King says somebody's got to pay for the deaths of these two innocent girls. Evidence be damned, right? Rick has been arrested. If he's innocent, then he can prove it in court. I think you're being sarcastic. Or I know you are. I don't know. I want to see all the evidence in court. I want to see what the defense has to say to try and refute it. I know that the prosecution is the one who has to prove that Rick is guilty, and Rick does not really have to prove that he's innocent. But I mean, there's just too many things that if I was falsely accused of being in the same situation as Rick, I would be acting totally different. I would have sued people. I would have been on TV saying I'm falsely arrested and in like this segregation unit. Every time I went to the court hearings, I'd be yelling at the TV cameras, like, can somebody help me here? Like, what the hell? So I don't know. I just don't see that Rick is acting like somebody who's totally innocent. Time will hopefully tell. Malibu says, I cannot tie Odinist sacrifice to the murders. It seems far more likely that it was a murderer, a deviant. I mean, we don't know, even if those branches are supposed to be symbols, is it necessarily an Odinist sacrifice? As some people have said, like, if it was an Odinist sacrifice by a bunch of people, like, how long did the ritual take? It didn't seem like that part added up. Hi, Ellie Joe. Sweet dreams. KT says, I've been to the bridge, easy in and out to the highway. What if the murderer is nowhere near Delphi? I would say one of my biggest concerns is if Rick is truly innocent, that means essentially that this is a totally cold case and it might never be solved. So I don't know. Necessary Evil says bridge guy was caught on multiple cameras. There's been rumors that in addition to Libby's video, that bridge guy may have been caught on another camera. So I guess we're gonna have to wait to see at the trial if they present anything else. Obviously, I doubt there's anything a better resolution because they would have released it, right? Kevin says Rick would have to be comfortable taking up to an hour to commit the act and stage the scene without any prior experience or apparent motive. Odd. I agree that it's odd. And also, I mean, I was thinking about Bridge Guy. We see him approaching, and we don't know exactly what's under, what kind of shoes or boots he has on. But oh my gosh, sorry, I looked at a different comment. Um, if your plan was to cross this cold creek, would you really be wearing those small boots? I don't know. I mean, I know that Ron Logan was captured on video at noon, around noon. Excuse me. KT, that was number 2. KT keeps track of my burps, unfortunately. That's not too embarrassing. Anyway, Ron Logan was captured at the transfer station getting rid of garbage around noon, and he had boots that were like halfway between his ankles and his knees. So if you're like planning to like take 2 girls across a creek, are you really going to be wearing these small boots? I don't know if any of you guys have walked in water like with boots and stuff, and it's not a good feeling. So I don't know that his intention was to take them across the creek. He says go down the hill. Who knows what his intention was and what exactly unfolded. Illegally Blonde. How scary is it that you can film your killer and the cops still screw it up? I agree. I mean, there's been a lot of mistakes throughout this investigation. Dave says they don't have enough DNA. They've never revealed what kind of DNA they have, but they definitely have something, because I've heard quite a few people talk about it. Doug Carter, Tobe. Necessary Evil says, remember Libby's phone pinged in town at 3 a.m. and it's implied Alan returned to the scene on a bike later that night. This is something that's not confirmed because I don't know, maybe you guys can refresh my memory. I definitely have heard about Libby's phone pinging all over town throughout the night. On Monday night, when they went missing, the local news stations interviewed some family members like Abby's mom and Libby's grandfather. Was that Libby's grandfather that night who said that her phone was pinging all over town? But within the past year, I was looking at an old article which said that the last confirmed ping or connection to Libby's phone was 5:30 p.m. on the day they went missing. So I know that that's a rumor saying about all over town, Necessary Evil, throughout the night. But from what I've seen in print, 5:30 p.m. on the day they went missing. So I don't know if that means that, I mean, you're implying that maybe Rick took the phone and then went to the scene, but Libby's phone was found under her shoe, which was under Abby. Before I was thinking of this comment or this fact, the thing about the branches on Abby and Libby, we know that Libby's dad called at 3:11 and 3:14 to say, I'm approaching, come meet me at Mears. And then at 3:14, when he got to Mears, I think he called her again. So whoever Bridge Guy was or the killer, did they see Libby's phone saying, Dad is calling you twice? And that caused Bridge Guy to say, crap, I need to get out of here. And I was thinking like yesterday or today, did that cause him to say, okay, well, I think I touched Libby's tie-dye shirt, her sneaker, I don't know what that other item is. And if you've seen these creek pictures with the clothing and stuff, in the one photo it shows on the left, these items got caught up in like brush in the creek. So on the left is a tie-dye shirt, which is the Libby shirt. In the middle, I don't know if it's like a white underwear or something. And on the right is one of her black and white sneakers, her Nike sneakers. In another photo, there's like a peach or orange colored or pink colored small item that I'm not sure if it's a sock or underwear. So did he see at 3:14, her father's calling, I have to get out of here. So then he said, I might have touched these items. Let me go down to the creek, wash off my hands and wash off these, or like at least submerge these items and let them go down the creek, which hopefully they'll go far away and wash off my DNA. So what am I talking about? I don't know. Let's talk about something else. Actually, yeah, that actually reminds me. So Angel says, now that is a good point. if the DNA was on clothing and not the girls themselves, or on the trees or rope tie around the tree. So I was thinking before, if did Bridge Guy see dad on her phone? So if the phone is on the ground and a shoe is on top of the phone, and then Abby is on top of that, you would think that whoever did this placed those items and touched them. So I want to know, did Libby's phone have at least maybe their blood if he was wearing gloves and touched her phone? Is there any kind of like their blood on that phone? I don't know. Like, did Bridge Guy touch her phone at any point? Hi, Mike. Was there something about Rick's cat's DNA, or is that just my imagination? A mixture. It was somebody else's imagination that you're remembering. When Rick first got arrested, there was a few rumors. Some people said that he stole a tool from his neighbor's house, which was a felony. So he had to give his DNA to police, and that his DNA matched the crime scene, which we know now that's totally false. Another thing was that police dug up Rick's dead cat in his backyard, and that cat hair matched crime scene hair, which that has not been proven at all. And also in the October 13th search warrant of stuff that was taken from Rick's house, what was the cat's name? Ozzy. Ozzy was not listed as being taken from their backyard. So who knows about that cat hair? But in Ron Logan's search warrant, it did mention like unidentified hairs and fibers. And also we know that Tony Klein's dog's hair got confiscated to check against the crime scene. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if this is a rumor, I think. Hi, JMS. They found photos in Rick's shed. Do you keep photos in your shed? This is a total rumor, and I'm not like criticizing you, but I don't know. This is a rumor I've seen like once or twice. I think people said the rumor is that crime scene photos were found printed in Rick's shed. Again, it's a total rumor, so no offense to JMS, but I don't know that that's true at all. Illegally Blonde says Kegan Kline is tied into this somehow, in my opinion. I have no idea. I have no idea. Anyway, I know that a lot of people still think that he and or his dad might have some kind of connection. I've been trying to talk to Kegan for like 99 months, or actually maybe like 5. I have 19 pages of questions for Kegan that are organized into various topics. I have been communicating with him like via this online website, trying to schedule a phone call, and it's been an absolute disaster. So at some time, if I am able to talk to him and record it, I will release a video, but it's like 6 months away, if anything. So don't expect any interview. How long have I been gone? 1 hour and 23 minutes. I need a drink. Hi, SP74. Platform 1 guy had to see Abby and Libby. So a few months ago, I guess before the Franks memo came out, I said I was sure of only 2 things in this case. 1, Ron Logan is not Bridge Guy. And 2, yeah, I don't know if Ron had anything to do with it after that, but I will never say that Ron was Bridge Guy. 2, I was saying that there's no way that Rick is telling the truth, that he never saw Abby and Libby, because the police said they see his car at 127 going to the direction of CPS. In a certain amount of minutes after that, it makes sense that he would have passed these girls near bench 1. And they said they saw a guy who's in his 50s or 40s or 50s with gray hair. We know that Rick said he went to platform 1. Witness 4 sees somebody on platform 1 matching what Rick was wearing and Bridge Guy was wearing. So I was saying there's no way that Rick did not see Abby and Libby. And then came out in the Frank's memo that in October 2022, Rick said, no, I was there noon to 1:30, so I cannot be bridge guy. I don't know. As I said before, this 127 Hoosier Harbor Store camera showing if it's Rick's car or not is going to be a big decider for me about whether Rick is truly innocent or guilty. KT 2. Angel would really like to know if there's any CSAM connection or evidence that would sway me towards guilty. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Rick's home computer or his phone computer activity was. I know in the Long Island serial killer, he was looking for stories about the case where he killed all these girls and women, Rex Heuermann. So he was searching for articles about the case. So what kind of activity was coming out of Rick's home internet searches? Not just about updates about Delphi and the murders, but also CSAM, which might indicate that he was looking for some kind of motive to see two young girls do stuff to each other. I don't know. Kevin says, I wonder how Rick could be so confident in his ability to pull this crime off. Broad daylight, witnesses, and death penalty. He doesn't seem to have a good plan for entering or exiting the trail. I agree. I mean, not just Rick, but anybody, whoever bridge guy is, like, what was his motive and what was his plan, thinking that this was going to turn out to be something that was going to work out in his favor? I don't know. Hi, Kathy. I would think that the defense would have an expert come in to explain the Nordic symbols and their meanings. Well, my issue before was saying if the Purdue professor cannot say the meanings to Holman in September of 2023, how am I as a jury member going to believe that Odinists or somebody was leaving an Odinist symbol if no professor or expert can tell me what these branches are supposed to mean related to Odinism? Am I wrong about that? I don't know. Angel thinks that Libby put the phone in her pocket. So for a while, we thought that Libby was wearing sweatpants, but it turned out that she was wearing jeans, and she had this black and gold sweatshirt, which ended up apparently on Abby, both the jeans and the sweatshirt. And no, I have not seen the crime scene photos. I'm not involved with any of that stuff. So that's that. Or I heard there's like a lot of drama between people who cover the case, and you guys, like, remind yourself what's this is all about. It's supposed to be about Abby and Libby not fighting with other adults and stuff. It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway. Hi, until tomorrow. Kevin, if Rick has sufficient mental illness, he may have been completely unconcerned about covering his butt or getting away with it. Then dumb luck may have made the crime possible. I mean, the defense said that Rick has suffered from depression since his early days, which is how they worded it. I'm not saying that people who are depressed or who have a mental illness are like out killing people, but I don't know. I mean, we know that he's kind of, I don't want to say short, but I'll say short. A lot of people have said, could that have been like some kind of power issue where his entire life he felt like he was inferior to people, and maybe whatever, doing the stuff to two girls made him feel powerful. I don't know. There's a lot of stupid reasons that people assault people and kill them. Hi, Tattoo You. Hi, Metal Mama Michelle. Marty says, I hope there's some good additional audio evidence in Libby's recording. From what I've heard, no, unfortunately. I don't know. So I don't know. It's 43 seconds. I don't think that was a lie that it's any longer than that. So to me, it seems like Libby got concerned that this guy was walking towards them, because I really think that they had to have passed him at some point. So as I said before, Bridge Guy had to have been the guy, at least I think, who witness 4 saw. She turns around halfway between the bridge and Mears. She said she saw two girls who she thought could have been Abby and Libby, which it seems like it had to have been. So either bridge guy gets off the bridge after her, or as soon as Abby and Libby arrive, and then he hides somehow behind the gate area, or he goes down to the south opposite end. I recently posted on Reddit, and everyone's like, "No, you're an idiot," which is fine. Because if you zoom in on Libby's photo of the entire bridge, with not the one with Abby, I feel like there's a black spot that does not show up in other people's pictures in the winter, pointing at the end of the bridge. Hardly anybody agreed with me, and that's okay. So, I mean, I'm just of the thought that if you're going to kidnap two girls down the hill, shouldn't you like check out that area before you approach them? So either bridge guy got off of platform 1 and went to the opposite end, or he went around. So something caused Libby to push record. There's been rumors that maybe Abby said something about a gun, something about, is that creepy guy still behind me? Although that, I think that was Gray Hughes may have said that in a live chat, and people took it to be a quote from the actual recording, and it's not. So I think they went to the end of the bridge to see, like, how can we get out of here since this guy is coming in our direction? And as they're talking, I think bridge guy was like, that's why he was like, guys, to interrupt them, saying like, where are we going next? And then he says, go down the hill. And then it says in the PCA, right after that, they start to go down the hill. So additional audio evidence, I don't think anything's going to be worth it, at least to prove anything. Ling 8 Ling, are you a two-set violin fan? Good morning from Hong Kong. Listening whilst taking my dog for a walk now. All right, thank you. This is the first person from Asia that I've ever seen in my live chat. What countries are you people from? Anyway, that's my first time asking that. Oh, wow. What? Sorry. Oh, this is the Daybell thing. I don't know what that's about. That's about the Lori Daybell Vallow case. Metal Mama Michelle, it's nice to be in this group's chat. People are very respectful. Appreciate all of you. Yeah, people, I'm totally open to various opinions. Just please be polite to each other. Dave says, if the new defense team stays on the Odin angle, it will be interesting. I don't know what their options are, Dave. I mean, in the 136 pages of the Franks memo, not once did they reference Ron Logan or the Kleins. So it doesn't seem like there's any evidence pointing towards them. Until tomorrow. Thank you for pointing out the obvious. We can't decide this guy's guilt until evidence is provided. We don't have enough information to make a sensible decision. I totally agree for making a final decision, but I mean, up to that point, we're obviously all interested in this case and have our own different thoughts. So it's fine sharing, saying you think Rick is either innocent or guilty, but I would say hold off saying I know 100% for certain that he is either way. Kevin says, on the other hand, Rick needs to have another guy dressed and looking like him at the trail, plus another group of 3 teenage girls. Doesn't seem likely. Twilight Zone. I agree. Those are some of the issues that, I mean, it just seems like one coincidence after another. In my 7-hour video on the Franks memo, I showed a few slides, like 7 coincidences that just make me question whether Rick truly is innocent or guilty, which if you've seen them, you've seen them. I'm not going over it right now. Oh my gosh. KT, every time you say Precy, I want a Reese's peanut butter cup. Oh my gosh. Now I want one. Hi, Lady Monet. I'm curious what was obtained in searching his house that connected him to the girls. In that list by the defense of like 6 or 8 things that are good for Rick, did it say that nothing was found in the search of his house? I forget that. They didn't say nothing was found in the search of his car unless they meant also like his car was part of the search of his house? Yeah, I don't know that I really want to get into this because, as I said, I don't know a lot of the information. Necessary evil, you're talking about the motorcycle a lot. From what I've heard, rumors only, motorcycle tracks from the private road heading to the house at the end of the private drive were matched to tracks off a cover found at Allen's house. So in the search in October 2022 of Rick's house, it listed a motorcycle cover. And I don't know, people are talking about this various things. I don't know. Some people are saying Bridge Guy or the killer, after he killed Abby and Libby, he went across the creek again to this house at the end of the private drive, who like the owners were away, but their son would come check on the house or something. Something about there's like an outhouse or a shack or a garage. Don't get me started on the shack. I don't know if that Doug is watching. Hi, Doug. No, I'm kidding. Something about the killer crossed the creek a second time to wash off something in this outhouse or outbuilding. Maybe like blood or something was found in that out shack or whatever, and then he crossed over again the creek. I don't know. Again, I'm just saying those are rumors that people are talking about. Don't quote me. Angel, right? Yeah, how far am I behind? Only 27 minutes. That's pretty good for me. I have a vague recollection of law enforcement saying there was no more audio in the video. Does anyone else remember that? I think it's just nothing really of value, Angel. Ray. Necessary Evil said that's not remotely true, Angel. Uh-oh. Hi, Rabbit. Nice to see you. Yeah, 43 seconds is what was referenced in Ron Logan's search warrant before Rick was even arrested. Hi, Tech Death Hippie. KT says every guy in Delphi dresses like Bridge Guy. It's a hog, farmers, and fisherman's paradise. Yeah, I mean, we've heard a lot of people say that over the years, KT, but as I pointed out in my 4.5 hour video on the Kleins and Ron Logan, Tony Klein wore like every single one of his shirts had like NASCAR. What did I say? He shops at NASCAR T-shirts R Us or something. And also, Kegan really did not wear clothing that matched Bridge Guy. So I understand that a lot of guys in that area wear what Bridge Guy was wearing, but not every single person or every single guy. Hi, Brown Skittle. Good morning, Australia. Caricature contest. The fact that Rick does not speak out on his own behalf and share his voice shows to me he sounds like Bridge Guy because he is. I mean, some people might say you're assuming, but you're not wrong. We've never heard Rick speak in, what is it, like a year and 4 or 5 months since he was arrested? Not once. Why is that? Is he afraid that he does sound like Bridge Guy? It's going to be interesting at the trial. McClelland is going to have to, I mean, I don't understand how he would not do something similar to this. Play Bridge Guy audio. Actually, he should play Rick's confession to his wife. I can't say confession. I don't want to trigger anybody. Rick's phone call to his wife where he said something not good. Then play Bridge Guy audio and then play Rick's call to his wife again. If those voices match up enough, that's not going to be good for Rick, obviously. However, we don't know exactly what Rick's voice sounds like and if it is close to Bridge Guy. If it's not, is the prosecution even going to do that comparison? I don't know. I would think that with the Liggett and these other officers listening to that Bridge Guy audio so many times over the years, they finally talked to Rick. I mean, don't you think they're like keeping their ears open? Like, does this guy sound like he could be Bridge Guy? You would think so, but I don't know with this case. Until tomorrow agrees with me, you're the only one. Yeah, I mean, I just would not be doing what Rick has been not doing. I've said previously, and it triggers people. A lot of things I say trigger people. A lot of things people say trigger me. Um, I just can't imagine like being falsely accused of this and not testifying on my behalf. And I mean, like I'd be taking notes in my jail cell, reading all this discovery evidence. Like Rick, how much of the discovery and evidence has Rick read? I'm very curious to know that. Obviously, we're not going to get the answer. Is he not reading it because he knows the answers? Or is he reading it and taking notes and preparing his defense and saying to his either Baldwin and Rosie or Lemon that Lemon, I'm going to say Lemon as short for Librato and Scremin. Sorry, Aspen Connor, how dare you give me that nickname? What was I even talking about? Oh yeah, so if I was said that if I was falsely accused, I would just be like preparing for this trial so much and like so eager to get on the witness stand or whatever, the defense stand, and say, no, the defense or the prosecution is wrong for this, this, and this. Is Rick doing that? I mean, do you really think Rick is going to testify at this trial? In one of my previous live chats, I essentially said the same exact thing, which I say the same thing in every live chat. And somebody said they were a court reporter, and they listed some reasons that were very valid that I had not thought of about why you should not testify if you're a defendant. And I know people get like so upset when anybody suggests that somebody accused should actually like stand up for themselves. But they made some good points, which unfortunately I have a bad memory and I forget. But I mean, there's no way I would not testify if I was innocent. So we'll see what happens. Hi, Son of Liberty. It's nearly impossible to sue while facing charges. The facts of the matter have yet to be established. Civil follows criminal. All right, thank you. Tech Death Hippie, they need to release the tapes of him saying he did it. Yeah, well, I would have at least appreciated if McClelland released the transcript. I don't know why he did not. It's been referenced in at least, I think, 2 different prosecution filings since April 3rd. And we have still yet to see the exact words. And everybody's like, well, it's a confession. It's not a confession. It was obviously something bad. And obviously it was something that his wife has moved past. I referenced this previously so that happened April 3rd. And in the Franks memo, the defense was like, oh, Rick is so, oh my God, I was being sarcastic there with the O. The defense was like, Rick is so concerned with if his wife and family are okay. He has to ask us, is my family okay? Is my wife okay? And I pointed out, like, what was the reason for that? That was May 4th, a month after this supposed call to his wife. It seemed like the reason why he had to ask the defense if his family and wife was okay was because he was not talking to his wife and his family because he couldn't just ask them themselves. It said that he had gone from making 2 phone calls a day to not making any phone calls to his family. That was the prosecution said that in a filing dated April 20th, I think. So for 17 days at least, Rick went from talking to his wife and family up to twice a day to never. Somebody pointed out, thank you, whoever you were, somewhere on Reddit or something. Rick's wife did show up in person at Westville with his attorneys, I think May 30th or 31st. So within 2 months of him saying that, his wife did show up. So it seems like she's moved past it, at least at some level. But I mean, how do you move past your husband saying something pretty incriminating, which the prosecution said he admits several times that he killed Abby and Libby, that he is guilty of what he is charged with, which is essentially being bridge guy. I know people don't like the prosecution, and there's been some shady stuff, but are you really going to put in a filing? We transcribed the call, and he said that he admitted killing Abby and Libby when it's going to come out. And if that's not true, then they're going to look horrible. The prosecution. CR, who keeps deleting cool comments? I am in StreamYard, as you can see in the top right. I don't delete any comments, so I don't know what's going on. Sorry. I only tell my moderators to delete like rude comments. Hi, Granny. Happy Friday. I'm just looking for more comments. Hi, Jane. Thank you. Hi to everybody in Europe who's staying up late. Hi, Bridget. Oh my gosh, sorry. Sorry, I'm not highlighting that one. Let's see. Hi, Ruckus. A cat? I'm just seeing like some comments that we haven't talked about yet. KT says, so much rumor and conjecture. I agree. I have no idea if Rick was involved, but whoever did this has yet to be determined. Meanwhile, a potential patsy sits in prison without proper access to counsel. Yeah, I agree that he should have better access to his lawyers. It should not be video and audio taped. He should not be in shackles when meeting with his lawyers or going to and from prison and his court hearings. A potential patsy, which is somebody who I think they falsely arrested, whatever. I don't know. I've not seen enough evidence that points to like this big conspiracy that Holman and all these other guys were like, oh yeah, let's help Tony Liggett get a $40,000 a year pay raise so he wins the sheriff election. Because to me, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me that Liggett would think, oh, let me arrest this CVS guy so I can win the election and look like I'm a good investigator, which I've said previously, like if I was a Carroll County resident, I would be like, it took you 5.5 years to figure that out. I'm not going to vote for you as the sheriff if it took you 5.5 years to arrest somebody who came forward within a few days. Also, Liggett and these other detectives had no idea once they looked at Rick's phone and car data. Like, would it have shown if he went to McDonald's? Like, there's a McDonald's in Delphi. I'm not like saying anything stupid here. They would not have known if Rick went to McDonald's at 1:35 and paid with his credit card and could prove that he was not at the trails at 1:35 at least, if he had some kind of receipt. And I've said this previously, and I've said it's stupid, but I really do want to know not exactly what he ate for lunch, but when and where did Rick eat lunch? He said he was at the trails between noon and 1:30. So did he buy something before he went there? Does he have a credit card receipt to prove that? The defense has never shown any real proof to say Rick was at the trails noon to 1:30. I'm talking about like solid proof, not witness 4 saying she saw a car from the 1960s. I don't know. I'm rambling. Sorry. Yeah, I'm still on page 1. I haven't gotten to talk to him yet. Kagokyo. Yeah, people would be like, why are you asking questions of somebody who you said is like the biggest liar, that you say he's like Pinocchio? I don't know. There seems to be a lot of people who think that Kagan and his dad are still involved. So I just have a lot of questions. Oh my gosh. Ruckus says the supporting document for the Franks motion is a crock of Shat. Well, as people have pointed out, most of that information came from other law enforcement officers, Ferenczi, Click, and Murphy. The only thing that Baldwin and Rosie made up or added was the stuff accusing the Westville guards of shenanigans and stuff. As I'm thinking what's popping into my mind. So before I referenced the tasing incident, I think in the Frank's memo, they talked about 2 taser incidents. So they were captured on video. They only really referenced one of them in more detail. And it said like Rick was in his cell. He was sticking his hands outside. So I think every like cell has like a little area to put like a food tray in. Apparently the rule is if you're an inmate, you're not supposed to put your hands outside of that. If I'm getting this wrong, correct me. I think in the Frank's memo, it said that Rick was putting his hands outside of that, and that was not acceptable. And so the guards tased Rick while he was in his cell. I think it said it was uncertain if they hit him. However, I don't think that's acceptable. Rick is not a threat behind bars or even outside of bars. So I don't think they should be tasing him while he's in a cell for just putting his hands outside the cell. However, at the same time, it's like if you know and are being told the rule is you cannot stick your hands outside of this, why is Rick not following directions? And if you're not following directions, why are you complaining that you have to pay the consequence for not following directions? I don't know. Necessary Evil wants to know what was on the flash drives. So do I. Malibu says Rick seemed to be so bloated from alcohol consumption. Alcohol is a depressant. Rick looked so gaunt after being in custody, having lost the bloat. Yeah, the defense was saying he's had like physical changes and negative effects from being in prison, which, a lot of people have said, well, obviously, if you can't drink alcohol and eat good food, but then some people have said, well, Kegan looks like he gained weight. So I don't know. I don't think Rick losing weight is a sign of any kind of like mistreatment. Obviously, he's going to lose some weight if he can't drink. Oh my gosh. Jane wants to know, when is the trial? Currently it's scheduled for October 15th of this year. So 10 minus 1 is 9 months. That's kind of far away. So next Thursday, a week from today. Oh, today's Friday. Sorry. Is today Friday? All right. Anyway, part of the Supreme Court thing is to get the trial within 70 days and reinstate Baldwin and Rosie. But as people have pointed out, like at any time, Baldwin and Rosie could just submit a request for a 70-day trial. And they had Rick, I think, sign it in last August, but they never filed it. So I don't know what's up with that. I think it was referenced that Baldwin and Rosie were planning to file that 70-day request for trial in November, but the trial was supposed to start January 8th anyway. So I don't know what that's all about. Lizbeth, I feel terrible for his wife, his daughter, and his mother too. I agree with you. We have not seen his daughter, which I don't think that's any indication of her thoughts on his innocence or guilt. Would you really want to show up on TV and know it's going to be on TV and your like coworkers are like, oh my God, that's your dad? So I don't think that's really a sign of what his daughter is thinking about his guilt. There have been a lot of rumors that his daughter or his son-in-law, her husband, somehow contributed to Rick getting arrested. It's not been proven at all from what I've seen. You're welcome. We don't care about people. People from America. I want to know who's outside of America, who's staying up late or early. I'm kidding. Hi, Susan. Nice to see you. Oh my gosh. Ellie Joe. Yeah, I know you're in London. Happy 2024. Oh my gosh, no way. Anyway. Sorry, I'm looking for some comments that we haven't talked about. There's some rumors in here that I don't want to highlight, so sorry. I just don't want to highlight. I know I talked about some rumors before, but I'm not aware of some of these things. Yeah, sorry. Billy said McClelland's name is Slick Nick. I don't know. I should probably be like more polite and just say McClelland or Prosecutor McClelland. How far behind am I? Only 16 minutes. All right. Angel Ray. Do law enforcement tell the incarcerated not to answer the media people calling out to them outside court because they rarely ever do talk? Yeah, I guess that's a good point. That I think Rick was wearing a shock vest when he was going inside and outside of court, and if he said I'm innocent, I'm sure some people would say that the police would shock him just for saying that. Son of Liberty disagrees with me, which is okay. When you're the defendant, your lawyer is your voice. Okay, but I would still stick up for myself. Ruckus is saying something about the motorcycle. During the search of Rick's home, they found a motorcycle cover with matching tire marks to the home at the end of the private drive. I don't know. I think you're saying you got that from somebody who saw like leaked evidence or something. We'll have to wait and see. I do know that the motorcycle cover was listed on the items taken from Rick's house. So did they take it on October 13th, 2022? Because they previously knew that there were some kind of motorcycle tracks at the end of that private drive. But it seems so odd to me that, like, Rick, first of all, not to be rude, but is somebody who's 5'4", can they can they fit on a motorcycle? Like, how big is this motorcycle? I don't know. KT says, if I were Rick's attorney, I'd advise him not to speak publicly, not because he's guilty or innocent, but because he has the right to remain silent in public, and the scrutiny of his voice would drive the media bonkers with theories. That's a good point. Hi, Tiff. Oops. Malibu says, we'd hear Rick's voice if we heard the confession recordings. Well, I don't expect like McClelland or Slick Nick to release the recordings at this point. But as I said before, it would have been nice if he like wrote out the transcript or at least the most damaging quote that Rick said. I don't know. A somewhat similar point. I know some people have said like Judge Gull is biased against the defense and she's like doing whatever the prosecution wants. But I was thinking about making a spreadsheet, which luckily I decided not to, of how many times like the defense or prosecution have asked for something and how many times Gull like ruled in whoever's favor to show how many times has she really ruled for the prosecution and not and the defense. Because one thing that stood out to me was the defense was saying that Rick's mental health kind of contributed to his calling his wife and whatever confession thing. So the prosecution filed a motion twice saying we want access to Rick's mental health and medical records from Westville. And twice Gull denied that request. So, I mean, if she was biased against the defense, why would she deny that? Wouldn't she just give access to McClelland to get those mental health records? I would have granted access to it. If the defense is going to say that Rick's confession is because of some kind of mental issue, I think the prosecution should be able to see his mental health records to show me as a potential jury member, like what the professionals were saying. We know that Baldwin and Rosie wrote that Rick was having some kind of like schizophrenic and delusions and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, somebody in my comments said that they were an emergency room nurse. And some people who suffer from depression do have like these delusional episodes. So I am open to Rick's April 3rd call possibly being a result of whatever, some kind of depression or some kind of depression incident. But I don't know. I think that McClelland should have access to those records if the defense is going to say anything about Rick's mental health. I don't know. Maybe he'll ask a third time. Hi, Kimosabi. Oh, he's asking Ruckus, what could have been carrying across the creek and the hundreds of feet to the garage that would still be dripping blood? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know all the details of this supposed bridge guy or Rick going from the crime scene across the creek, doing something in an outhouse or whatever, and then going back. I don't know. Oh my gosh, Ellie, time for bed for you. Anyway, sorry. Until tomorrow, Rick is quiet either because he's mentally incompetent or he's guilty. I mean, I was surprised to see before, if you're just joining late, at the start, I read this like 6-page motion to transfer Rick from prison to county jail. Also, there's a, I don't know, like 4-page affidavit or affidavit or whatever. They've misspelled affidavit. It said that Rick said he's like on various medication, which he doesn't know what he's on. I know some people are saying like they're drugging Rick, and I don't know. I don't really believe that, but I mean, he should know like what pills he's taking. So I was surprised to read that. So I don't know. I mean, the new defense seemed to say he seems kind of out of it mentally. So put him in a county jail. I mean, he's eating paper. I don't know. Rick broke his tablet. We don't know which date that was. Let me sit up here. We don't know if Rick broke his tablet after his phone call with his wife on April 3rd. It said that he confessed to his wife and his mom multiple times. So I don't know what the whole timeline of this stuff is. But to me, it just seems really suspicious. Excuse me, KT. It's almost number 3. Excuse me. April 3rd, the intern and the investigator for the defense, Baldwin and Rosie, met Rick at Westville. We don't know for certain if Rick made this phone call before or after that meeting. It seems to me like it would be after, but I don't know. What was discussed at that meeting that would make Rick go back to his cell, call his wife, and according to the prosecution, admit to killing Abby and Libby? To me, just the timing of it is so suspicious. And I know people say there's false confessions all the time. He was in his cell alone. I mean, people are saying, well, the guards were threatening him. I don't believe that. So, I mean, just this whole April 3rd scenario of meeting the defense team, going back to his cell, initiating this phone call where he initiated the call to his wife and said, "I killed those girls." That's suspicious. I mean, I don't know what else to say. There is going to be video hopefully shown at the trial to see how this all played out. So I don't know. Does Rick immediately get back to his cell, immediately pick up the tablet? Is he crying on the phone like, I did this? I don't know. That's why all of us want to hear what is said on it, obviously. But I don't know. It just seems like the timing of it, it's suspicious to me. Oh my gosh. KT, thank you. Buy yourself a Mad Libs and a Nacho Bell Grande. Thank you. My only Christmas present that anybody gave me was a $15 gift card to Taco Bell from one of my nephews. I have not used it yet. Where am I here? I'm sorry. Yeah, Angel says that the prosecution said, oh, wait, sorry. If he admits to what he was charged with, that is kidnapping. Yes. So McClelland in some report said in this April 3rd phone call, he admits to what he was charged with, which is essentially being bridge guy and kidnapping. So I don't know. Hi, Big Bird. Thank you. I'm not highlighting that. Thank you, though. Hi, FP. Kelsey Smith, who's somebody I've never heard of, was last seen on June 2nd, 2007, later found dead, was also investigated for Odinism-like ideas because of stick placement over her body. Was it ever solved? Oh my gosh. Oh my. You guys, stop being so thirsty in the comments. DNA King is a defense lawyer. Hi, Mr. DNA King. I appreciate all of your perspective. I could get anybody in this chat to confess to shooting John F. Kennedy from the grassy knoll if you give me enough time. Saying the words, I did it, or anything close to that is utterly meaningless. But don't you agree with me? You have to agree with me, DNA King. There's a difference between somebody after like an 8-hour interrogation telling police, okay, I did it, just to like shut them up or something, compared to a guy alone in his cell calling his wife and his mother, essentially like two of the three most important people in his life, saying, I killed those girls. I'm just saying, like, as a jury member, there's a difference to me. Oh my gosh, I can't with these comments. Not yours. I'm talking about these other ones. NQ Jasmine says, every time I hear the accusations against pagans, all I can think is replace the word with Jews, and it's nearly identical to blood libel. It's horribly hateful. Well, I mean, I agree that like some people are acting like Odinism. I mean, obviously there is some kind of white supremacy connection, but I looked at the Westville uniform guidelines because I have a really interesting life. My social calendar is totally booked up. I'm looking at, oh my gosh, uniform guidelines in Indiana prisons. Anyway, I could have swore it says something like religious alterations are allowed. I mean, whether you agree with it or not, Odinism is a religion. So these guys who are, these guards who are wearing Odinist related patches or a necklace, who's to say there's anything like different between, I'm sure some people will say, a Catholic wearing a gold cross or crucifix of Jesus to work, or somebody, an Odinist wearing like the Thor hammer. Like, I don't know. I agree that the one of them was wearing a patch that said "I hate people," and I do think that's inappropriate for a person dealing with inmates to be wearing. In my video, my 7-hour and 5-minute video, I said the only people who should be wearing "I hate people" patches are Starbucks baristas. Anyway. Sweet Dude Shibby says 6'2", Ron Logan's PCA, which I have a document that says he's 6 foot. I'm just clarifying. Said he mashed bridge guy. 5'5" Rick arrested as bridge guy. Vote for me. Tony Liggett said that. Well, the first the wanted poster, I'm almost certain it said 5'6" to 5'10". There's been this huge debate. How tall is Rick? I'm not going to get into it. I know this guy, Steve, who has a YouTube channel, he posted something where he went to the Carroll County courthouse after Rick had walked in and out, like on a different day. And you see Rick walking in on the side door on the left-hand side. So you can see that Rick is only up to like this one like part of the cement or the stone. So that this guy, Steve, went to the courthouse with a tape measure, which I would have done too. I'm almost certain he said that it came up to 5'3" or 5'4". So I know that there is this whole like debate. How tall is Rick? Could he have done this to two girls? Could he have gone across the creek at 5'4"? But Abby and Libby were also 5'4". So I don't know. What was your point, Sweet Dude Chibby? Angel Ray keeps forgetting if Rick was working that day. Not as far as we know. McClelland asked for records from CVS. I think he was granted those records. It seems like people who work at CVS, if they work on the weekends, they get other weekdays off. So it seems like Rick did have that Monday off. KT says, what if Rick was reading a statement the prosecution gave him, a plea bargain perhaps, which included language with admissions of guilt? Law enforcement gets too much credit in Carroll County. Well, what just popped into my head was that also was referenced by the prosecution. Rick's wife hung up abruptly, which people have said, was she so upset to hear Rick saying, I killed those girls? Or was she scared, like, this is being recorded, I'm ending this phone call? So there were some rumors that he was doing a plea deal. And some people speculated, well, did he talk to the intern and the investigator and then say, okay, I'll agree to this plea deal, then goes back to his cell and calls his wife saying, I agreed to a plea deal, I'm guilty? It does not seem like that was true. That was like a rumor, as far as I've seen. So why am I repeating rumors? Sorry, we have nothing else to talk about. 2 hours and 12 minutes. Am I going to stick to my usual 2 hour and 59 minutes? I don't know. We'll see. How far behind am I? 23 minutes behind. I need a drink. Don't look. Oh. 300 people. Hi, 300 people. Hi, Purdue. Nice to see you. Hi, Mr. Purdue, if he's sitting a few feet away from you. Miranda wants to get a wrench. So I can make people moderators. Let me see. Miranda, you are a moderator. You have a blue wrench. I just looked. So you can delete rude people's comments. Hi, the Punisher. I'm not sure there is much value in the authorities releasing of the recording or the transcript of someone's admission to a crime by itself. I mean, I disagree. If somebody is accused of murdering two girls and they call their wife and their mom and say, I killed those girls, as a member of a jury who is tasked with like determining if Rick is bridge guy and involved in the murders of these girls, I would want to hear that to make my decision, along with anything else that proves that he's not guilty. But I want to hear everything from the prosecution, everything from the defense. Miranda wants to know, was Kegan Kline really relocated to a different prison because of Rick Allen? So Kegan was at Wabash Valley Correctional Facility. As soon as Rick showed up, Kegan got moved. I don't know where he went. Actually, it took some time, I think, to move him, like maybe 2 weeks. Kagan is he in Miami County or something like that? Not Miami County, Miami Prison or Michigan City. I don't know. I don't know, Miranda. Um, Rick is in segregation, so it's not like Rick and Kagan could have talked about anything. Oh my gosh. High plea the fifth. Rick's daughter does not live, I guess, anywhere near the courthouse anymore, so that's maybe a reason why she's not showing up. Thank you. KT's only eyebrow raises when with Rick are the fluctuation in Rick's gait weight. Hello, gait weight? I need a nap. How much more time do I have to do this live chat? His up and down weight gain and facial hair changes. His weirdo comments to Becky Patty's sister about the memorial flyer, the loss of his brother-in-law to an accident, and his daughter moving out to marry and her somewhat resembling Libby. What do I have to say about this? The hair on his head essentially was always short because he was in the National Guard. That's what his wife said. He started shaving it around that time, and he just kept doing that. I do agree. I have a picture of like 9 different photos of Rick that I've showed previously, and it does look like he changed the way he looks. Whether it had anything to do with being involved in the murders, I have no idea. Next, his weirdo comments to Libby's grandmother's sister about the memorial flyer. The only thing I've heard is that Libby's aunt, Tara, went into CVS to pick up the photos, and he said it was free. Are you getting your facts messed up? I was going to say your name, but I don't want to mess it up. Marit is watching from Norway, and it's 2 a.m. here. Worth it, though. All right, thank you for staying up late. I'll end in about 40 minutes. Hi, Missy. You're late. Until tomorrow, can anyone here remember a case more bizarre than this one? This is only my first big case that I've looked into, and it's absolutely insane. The Punisher makes a good point. I just disagreed with you, I think, but I agree with this. If the recording or the transcript of the admission contains information that corroborates the evidence the authorities can also make public, then yes, it makes sense. I agree. So did Rick just say, I killed those girls, or did he say something that will prove that he was bridge guy or at the crime scene? That's a good point. I plead the fifth said, that's inhumane. He was not wearing anything to shock him, not in Indiana. I'm almost certain that it was said that he did have a shock vest. That's what the defense said. And I think they said that Rick, wasn't he repeating over and over, please don't shock me, please don't shock me, as he was walking into the June 15th hearing? Susan, I see a best-selling book in your future. Thank you. No, I'm not writing a Delphi book, but I got into this case at the 4-year anniversary in February 2021, and I finally finished this book transcript or manuscript that I was working on that has nothing to do with true crime at the end of February 2021. It's 633 pages. I've not looked at it a single second in almost 3 years. Like, that's ridiculous. Anyway, that's my problem, not yours. All right, here we go. So yeah, I don't have a job for the past month and a half, so I'm supposed to be like cutting my book in half. Actually, it's right here. This is my book. 633 pages. This is my fake cover. You can't see it. Oh, jeez. Okay, here we go. Well, that's me jumping on the side of a highway. You can't see it, so it looks stupid. Anyway, I'm blushing. Here we go. Next. Now I'm sweating. Hi, four pit bulls. Sorry, I'm just sweating now. Miranda, no, I really don't watch a lot of other Delphi videos or live chats. Now my face is messed up. I've never seen anybody as nervous as me on camera. It's like I'm the only one who's nervous. Get over it. All right, here we go. Billy says, you know, Rick found out from the lawyers. Wait, spousal privilege does not apply to my calls to her. Yeah, so I think discussions between married couples, if like Rick had said, maybe in like 2017, yes, I did whatever, his wife would not be forced to get on the stand at his trial and saying, Rick admitted to me in 2017 that he was the killer or whatever. But when you make a phone call to somebody in prison or jail, it says this call is being recorded. So she knew that. I don't know. Did Rick? I mean, he had to have heard. If he's making up to 2 phone calls a day, he knows it's being recorded, you would think. Why would he confess on a line that he knows is being recorded? Hi, Maureen. I think he saw the discovery and knew they had evidence, so confessed to his wife. That seems logical to me, at least somewhat. Was he given some kind of paper at that April 3rd meeting? He goes back to his cell, reads it, and something like near the top of it, he feels like, oh my gosh, that's something that is true. There's no way I can deny this. I'm going to be found guilty. Let me call my wife. So this transcript of this call, and not just the transcript, but how does he sound? Is he scared, nervous, crying? I don't know. It definitely needs to be played at the trial. And as Billy says, what paper did Rick eat? DNA King, who I highlighted his comments before, he's a defense lawyer. He said that he, as a lawyer, I shouldn't be laughing. He said that he advises some of his clients to eat their evidence, like the papers that he gives them, because he said if they're at least in a county jail, and so like if he gives his client a piece of paper with details about the case, another inmate could come into his cell, take that paper and read it with details about the case, then go to the sheriff or the warden and say, whatever inmate said to me, he was guilty. Here are the details, which the person actually read off the paper, and it was not like a confession. So that's why this lawyer says, eat your papers so no other inmates can read it. He also says some people in prison are constipated and the fiber from prison might help them go to the bathroom. Who knows? But in Rick's case, I mean, I can understand that might be possible, but Rick is in segregated unit. At what point could anybody, like any other inmate, get access to his papers? I don't know. SP74 says the mental health issue seemed to vanish when the Odin nonsense was put forward. I mean, as I said before, Rick's lawyers were his lawyers for 4.5 months before they said, oh, he needs to get out of Westville. So if it was so bad, why did they not like file to get him moved out of there a month later in like December 2022? Hi, Gangster Computer God. I know I'm behind, but it seems like all Rick had to do was give his attorneys permission to access mental health records, and they could. No, sorry. McClelland wanted access to Rick's mental health records to say, if the defense is saying Rick has gone crazy, that's why he's confessing. KT. Yeah, so there was some kind of filing at some point where the defense was given like automatic access to all of Rick's future Westville medical and mental health records. I'm pretty sure that's true. Sorry, I'm just looking for stuff. Yeah, people say, did you see my video where I said like some people left comments where I look like and act like John Mark Carr? Punisher says John Mark Carr publicly admitted to murdering John Benet Ramsey just for the infamy. And look what that did. It only distracted the public focusing on the evidence. I know, but why would Rick say that to his mom and his wife? I think that's like a totally different scenario. We're talking about the confession, maybe a little bit too much. I don't know. Steve says, you don't know what prison guards do behind closed doors. Well, isn't all of their interactions being videotaped? At least it's been revealed that there is a video camera on Rick's cell all day long. There's no microphone attached to it, but there's a video camera. And I'm pretty sure the defense has access to it all. I don't know how much they're reviewing, but obviously if there's some kind of issue with like the tasing or whatever, they've seen that stuff. DNA King, I do agree there's a difference, but both confessions are equally meaningless. I would love to hear the context of the conversation, and prison guards are notoriously harsh. I agree that the guards, and at least with them going up to Rick and supposedly saying, do you want your shower or rec time, and saying like, shaking their heads no, like you should say no so we don't have to waste our time taking you there. I think that's totally inappropriate, and frankly, they should be fired if they're doing that. But as I said before, screw them. If Rick wants to take a shower or go to rec time, just say, yes, I want to go. F you. It's your job. Sorry. He's not going to get tased for that. Annabelle Stealth, I wonder what would happen to you if you were tortured. I have not seen anything showing that Rick is being tortured. Yes, he's in segregated unit, and he was tased at least once because he apparently wasn't following the rules to keep his hands inside. I have not seen any evidence that Rick is being tortured. Yes, I think he should not be in a prison if he's not convicted. And I've said before, some of these rules that apply to people who have been convicted, like not being able to see his wife in person, the whole thing with the lawyers and the videotaping thing, I agree that those should be waived just because Rick has not been convicted. But I have not seen any evidence of him being tortured. What's your evidence that he was tortured or is being tortured? Gangster Computer God says Odin predates Jesus. SP74 says at the June 15th hearing, Rosie started it off by saying Rick made incriminating comments. And then I want to know, at some point, the warden was at the June 15th hearing to kind of like say that the defense pretty much lied in their motion for safekeeping order, whatever, saying that Rick was being treated like a prisoner of war, the size of his cell, the amount of rec time and showers he was given, his clothing. And at one point, there was no transcript of that June 15th hearing. But from what I've recalled, like people who were there said that the warden started maybe talking about letters that Rick had written to the warden. And as soon as that came up, Rosie called a sidebar or whatever with the judge. And after that little sidebar meeting, the warden stopped talking about the letters that Rick wrote to the Westville warden. So what is in those letters too that the defense did not want to become public? I'm not as far behind as usual. I'm only 20 minutes behind comment. Bartman XO harsh times 777 says 7 hours. Please tell me you're going to get to the point tonight. I have to work at midnight. No, this video is ending in 29 minutes or less. We're at 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm stopping at 2:59 if I remember to look at the counter. Hi, Jay White. I'm stopping in 29 minutes, so maybe you're already sleeping. Yeah, Angel, Rick was not on a lunch break, as far as we know, on the day of the murders. But I am very curious to hear how his day unfolded. Did he contact his wife at any point? Like, did he say, "I'm going to the trails at noon to 1:30"? I don't know. It was if she's at her job at the vet, I don't know, did they get text messages from Rick's phone the day of the murders, like at 9:30 AM? Did he text his wife saying, "I'll be at the trails like at noon to 1:30 or at 1:30"? Is there any kind of evidence in those texts or phone calls to his wife or anybody else, which will be able to like give some clarity on his actual time at the trails? Hi, Sparky. Nice to see you. Steve says Rick's daughter still has her dad's pic on her Facebook pages. Is it just the one of her parents giving her a kiss on her wedding day? Speaking of Facebook, Rick's wife's Facebook is missing posts between, I think, December 2016 and June 2017. Are police going to show any evidence that she deleted anything pointing towards Rick as being bridge guy? I'm not accusing her. I'm just saying at certain points on her Facebook, she was posting fairly frequently. And then like a 6-month break. I don't know what caused that. I don't know. I know that her brother died, but she posted about it at some point. I don't know. Maybe she was upset about her brother dying and did not want to post on Facebook. DNA King says that's another great point. It's obviously something I did not say. Audio can be edited to say whatever needs to be said. I don't know if you're talking about the confession or not. Oh my gosh. Miranda has used my 7-hour Frank's Memo video to fall asleep too many times. Plus, I've also watched it a couple. You use it more to as a sleep aid? All right, that's okay. Save money on melatonin. Just turn on Tom's boring voice. Let's see. Hi, Tam Joe 23. Then why was he not charged with first-degree murder if they have a confession that could stick? His confession was after the charge. So, I don't know. I'm not really knowledgeable about these various charges and legal stuff. Peace Train says, I think Bridge Guy made Libby undress almost immediately, and she ran and dropped her clothes. That's why you think they're in the creek? To me, what goes against that is the fact that 3 of them are caught up in the same small area in the creek, which to me kind of lends more towards the killer at some point, possibly after seeing Libby's dad calling, goes over to the creek and lets go of all of them at the same time. I don't know. Hi, Cinder. Nice to see you. No, 2 hour and 59 minutes, Dave. Hi, Victoria. Victoria's name sounds really rich. We need to solve the Missy Beavers case. Yeah, there's no real updates in that. Somebody on Facebook or no, Reddit. I'll talk about this for 30 seconds, then I'll go back to Delphi. Around Preci is actually in here. Around Thanksgiving last year, like 2 months ago, There's a Reddit, like, random topic, like, something about, like, what secrets did you find out at your Thanksgiving dinner table? And somebody wrote something along the lines of, like, my significant other's brother-in-law's sister's husband's wife. It was, like, totally confusing. Apparently killed a Camp Gladiator instructor, which was the Missy Beavers case. She was a fitness instructor at a company called Camp Gladiator. I know that the police have been made aware of that post, but there's no real updates from the police at all for the past few years in the Missy Beavers case. Kimosabi says, how does the prosecutor not know if it was 5 or 6 times? I agree. I don't know if it was. They referenced to the mom and the wife, and at some point it may have been 5 to 6 calls. I don't know, but that's a good point. It's like, did he say, I killed them 5 times? I don't know. A little bit of snow in my backyard. What is it? Are you drunk? Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, so this chat was supposed to be about this motion to transfer Rick from a prison to a county jail. I do agree that he should not be that far from whoever his attorneys are. However, what his conditions are going to be in a county jail near to his attorneys, whoever they are, after the Supreme Court decides, I don't know. Is he going to be in segregation in a county jail or um, in general population where other prisoners have access to him? What? Sorry, I'm just looking for some comments. I know it looks like I'm frozen, but I'm not. I'm just reading your comments, and a lot of them are back and forth and talking about stuff we've already talked about. So I'm just looking for something. I don't know what's more awkward, when I talk or when I'm looking for comments. Hi, Nisi. Nice to see you. Is that the Nisi I know? Is that your new picture with your cat? If he has bipolar depression, not getting the correct dose would explain changes in his looks, visions, actions. Also, defense said his pills were not consistent. Meds have many manufacturers. All right, thank you for sharing. There's only reference that he suffered from depression since his early days, was the wording at one point. I'm glad I was able to give you a good memory. Billy, can you talk about Tobe's thighs? So in my first Delphi video, which is the reason I'm here, I did, what did I say? If the jeans don't fit, you must acquit, because I had a picture of Tobe's thighs when he was sitting down, and I said his thighs looked bigger than Bridge Guy, so he could not be Bridge Guy. Because some people thought he was Bridge Guy, and I've heard that some people are saying that Libby's dad was Bridge Guy. And as Abby's mom pointed out on the audio, the 43-second audio, at no point do Abby and Libby make any kind of reference to the guy approaching them as Grandpa Mike. So, yeah, I don't think that's true. Hi, Venus Gal. I agree. His lawyers tried one thing and then it didn't work, then tried another, and when that didn't work, they spun a tale, etc. Confessions came, they made a lame excuse, that didn't work, and then what? I don't see your final thing. Yeah, it seems like they've tried, or at least Baldwin and Rosie tried a few different things to get Rick, I don't know, at least moved back to a county jail or to get the case dismissed. I don't know. I do agree that it's taken way too long for some of these hearings to be heard. Uh, Hearings are supposed to get heard. I mean, this should not have taken this long because Rick was sent from Carroll County Jail to Westville within a few days when he did not have an attorney to argue these points that, I mean, obviously the points are different now that he's in these different prisons where they're talking about the conditions at the prison. But I mean, I would think as soon as Baldwin and Rosie were assigned to him, this should have come up and this hearing should have been done to get him back to a county jail. As I said before, it took them 4.5 months to even try and get him out of a prison to a county jail. And that was only 2 days after his April 3rd phone call. Kathy says Michigan City Prison was closed and the prisoners are moved to Westville Correctional Center. All right, thank you. Yeah, we were talking about where Kegan Kline is right now, and I don't know for sure. Sorry, I'm looking for comments. How much more time? 16 more minutes left. Venus Gal doesn't really like the defense. The defense has proven nothing. I see nothing but smoke and mirrors. Everything defense has done or filed has been a change of claims when needed. I don't know. As I said before, I'm waiting for the trial to hear everybody's evidence and their arguments. Yeah, before I end, so my next live chat is January 18th is this Indiana Supreme Court hearing. It's going to be exactly an hour. It's supposed to start at 11 a.m. Eastern on time. I looked online and they have two other cases that are supposed to be 40 minutes each, starting at 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. So hopefully they'll start on time. I'm going to start 30 minutes before that. And an hour before that, I'm doing my member live chat for like 45 minutes or so. I'm hoping there's not going to be technical difficulties. But we'll see what happens. So I'm hoping to show the live stream of this hearing 30 minutes into my live chat so you guys can watch on my screen and hear. We'll see how it turns out. Yeah, this is a good point. Well, I mean, I guess that's their job, Venus Gal. Most forget the defense tried to quash anything about Rick's letters to the warden. Why? Yeah, and they're trying to prevent a lot of this other access to like his medical and mental health records. It's like, if there's nothing to hide, why are you trying to hide stuff? Things that make you go, hmm. Kimo Sabi says, if Rick's confessions were legally binding, then we would be waiting for his sentencing hearing, in my opinion. Thank you for sharing yours, Steve. We disagree on stuff, and like I'm fine with people disagreeing. Just be polite. There's no way that hundreds and thousands of people who follow this case are going to have the same thoughts on stuff. Hi, Kristen. Venus Gal, I'm highlighting a lot of your comments. I too want to know about Rick's day and his wife's and daughter's accounts of that day and night and the next day and the next day. I know his daughter got married, I think in November 2017. So I don't know for certain that she was living at home on February 13th. There has been rumors that his wife and maybe even his daughter were not home the day of the murders and that night. Again, just rumors. Oh my gosh. I should do like an ASMR video where I just like talk in my boring voice and be like, "You're getting sleepy." Oh my gosh. Ellie, thank you for staying up and for all your nice comments. 13 more minutes. Hi, Big Bird, 420. I think he threw the clothes in the stream so they would look downstream instead of in that area. I don't know. I mean, if I had to say one thing, I would think the reason that those items ended up in the creek was because he was concerned, whoever did this. I've never really said that I think Rick is Bridge Guy or the killer because I don't know. So whoever did this, I just think that they were concerned their DNA got on those items. They didn't want to take them home, obviously, or send them anywhere else. So they put them in the stream, hoping it would go far down. And apparently, they got caught up pretty close. I've looked at that helicopter footage way too many times, trying to see if I can see these items in the creek the following day, and I've never been able to find them. So I'm not exactly sure where those items were found. Angel says, if the killer saw Libby's dad calling, did he then move her on top of the shoe on top of the phone? From the Frank's memo, it said the phone was on the ground. On top of that was Libby's shoe, and on top of that was Abby, not Libby. But it seems like how would the phone and shoe end up on top of each other and then a body? So I don't know. I'm just curious to know how that all played out there. And I know in the Frank's memo it said at one point it was under Abby's back, but in another point it said it was under her upper leg or something like that. Yeah, Miranda, that's about Missy Beavers. I have listened to those, and they're obviously accusing that one lady who apparently said she killed Missy Beavers, but police looked into her in 2020 at least, which it's still unsolved almost 8 years later. Peace Train. This woman who supposedly said she killed Missy Beavers, like her friends were at a party, and so this true crime broads have interviewed the friends. Again, she's never been arrested or anything. SP74. My big fear is Rick is moved to a county jail and he's killed. This is Delphi after all, meaning like this case is crazy. That's my concern too. I mean, I don't want Rick to be killed. I think he deserves a fair trial and fair treatment, but I just don't understand, or I can't think of like the perfect solution to keep him safe and also so he's not like stuck in a jail cell 24 hours a day. That's not right. At least until he's convicted, if there's enough evidence. Yes, Venus Gal, I'm sure you heard. Yes, I will be live on January 18th. Oh, yay. I can't wait. 10 more minutes to the live chat. I seem really excited to end this live chat. Hi, Scott. Scott says that was a huge mistake getting spotted walking back to his car. Well, it's never been proven that that was Rick. That we obviously know this 357 driver on 300 North. She saw somebody. She said that his clothes were muddy. There's this whole issue with KT, 3.5. This issue with did she say his clothes were bloody? The Frank's memo was really focusing on saying Tony Liggett, we know who Tony Liggett is, that he lied in the PCA. So the defense was saying, like, all this stuff found at Rick's house should be thrown out because Tony Liggett lied. And the defense kept saying in 2017, the driver at 357 only said that the person she saw had mud on their clothes, not blood. And they just kept saying, oh, this 2017 interview. But to me, I want to know, did she do later interviews from 2018 and beyond where she said, yes, it was blood, it could have been blood. So Liggett did not necessarily lie if she said at a later year, other than 2017, that person could have had blood on their clothes. There's also this other issue where Liggett said that she said he was wearing a blue coat, but she only said he was wearing a tan or beige coat. As I've said before, we're going to have to wait for the trial to hear the final answers from all these different witnesses. Plead the Fifth says county jail food sucks. You've been in the county jail? Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to ask Kegan about. If I do talk to Kegan, I want to find out a lot about this stuff about rec time and food, and I promise I'll ask more important questions than that. I have 19 pages. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Philly's Finest wants to know if Shane Considine is here. He's sleeping, but I am going to Ireland and Italy. I'll be in Ireland for 2 days in the summer and 9 days in Rome. How much more time? 7? I have not seen any rude comments, so thank you to my moderators, as always, for spending your time babysitting adults. Hopefully people were polite to each other. Let's see. 804 Marty, you're still here. Do we think the hearing this week will change anything or result in Judge Gull and new lawyer staying on and the October 2024 trial? As other people have said, expect the unexpected. I don't know. I've said previously that I'm not really impressed with Baldwin and Rosie. At this point, I'm just like, if Rick wants them as his lawyers, then bring them back. He can deal with the consequences, whether they do a good job or not. Gull, I've said, I don't think she's been totally biased, and I pointed that out before. She has also not followed procedures too. So I'm not like set in stone, like I need Judge Gull to be the judge in this case. The request is that a special judge is assigned. I obviously don't know anything about anything, so I don't know anything about legal stuff. So I've been looking into hopefully getting somebody else to join my live chat who's more knowledgeable than me. And I kind of was very ambitious. And over the past week, I contacted 4 former Indiana Supreme Court justices to see if they would join my live chat. And they took one look at my making fun of the news on my bed, and they're like, hell no. I almost just said the F word. No, they did not reply. I mean, they did reply. They didn't say that. They said that they are currently like special judges, so they did not feel like it was appropriate to comment on the case. So I'm sorry. I tried to get like Supreme Court justices to give us their perspective on what to expect before this hearing and after and during. But as of right now, it's just going to be me on Thursday. I'm sorry. I'll have to pick out my outfit soon. Scott says he knew they were going to be there, and he knew what time they were going to be there, and he knew how long he was going to have. And I would like to know how he knew this because there was a way. Did you go to the Tony Klein School of Punctuation? We need periods and commas. Don't be offended. Sorry. Well, the defense said there's no evidence that Rick was communicating on social media with Abby and Libby. Are you thinking that Rick and Kagan were communicating and Kagan somehow gave information that they're going to be at the trails? It seems like Abby and Libby, or at least Libby, were telling their friends, like, we're going to be off Friday and Monday. We want to go meet other people at the trails and the bridge. So I don't know if anybody else could have figured out that there was going to be at least kids at the trails that day. 3 minutes. Hi, She Elf Johnson. Thank you. I appreciate it. And everybody else who donated today, I truly appreciate everything everybody gives me. Oh, CJK, I just missed this. Where are we here? You should do a live with some guests. I have some I'd love to see on your channel. I probably don't agree with most of the people on your list, but anyway, you could put it in the comments below after my video's over, and I'll delete it if I don't like the people. Kristen, thank you. Yeah, this is a serious subject, but I can't help but being a clown sometimes. Sorry. SP74, thank you. Kagan is listed as an inmate at Indiana State Prison, aka Michigan City. All right, we're wrapping it up, people. One more final comment. I'm so far behind. Let me wrap it up. We're ending, Wampo, but hi. Aren't you in France? It's time for bed. All right, one more final comment. I guess people are saying caricature contest. I'll highlight yours as the last one. I don't know if people are saying that Rick should be released to go home. Based on my questions about his innocence or guilt, I don't feel like that's a good idea, especially since he made this phone call where, I mean, we've talked about that half of this live chat, so I'm not going to go into it again. But as I said, I don't know where the best place for Rick to be is, both for his safety and for his mental health safety. So it'll be interesting to see what, if any, resolution there is for this current motion to transfer Rick from a prison to a county jail. I doubt Judge Gull would decide on this before next Thursday, but some people who don't like her would not put that past her. That's it, everybody, for this surprise live chat. Calm down, Tom. Like, relax. All right. Thank you, everybody. As always, my moderators, everybody who donated, everybody who shared their opinion, similar and different to mine. I appreciate it. We're at 2 hours and 58 minutes and 28 seconds. So I have 30 seconds before 2 hours and 59 minutes. Again, I will try and be live, or I will be live Thursday for this hearing. I doubt I'm going to get a Supreme Court justice. Maybe instead of Indiana Supreme Court justice, I can ask Clarence Thomas or something. We'll see what's going on. I'm just waiting for, all right, 53, 54. Bye, everybody. I'll see some of you on Thursday. If not, you can join or watch the replay. And for my members, just a reminder, I'm going to do the member only next Thursday, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. I already created the placeholder so you can look for it. All right, I have to go. Goodbye.